Again, welcome to the regular City Council meeting of Tuesday, March 15th, 2022 at 6 p.m. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to Government Code 54953E1A in order to minimize the spread of the COVID-19 virus. The City Council is conducting this meeting by Zoom webinar and will be offering alternative options for public participation. You are encouraged to watch the meeting live on Zoom or Facebook. For those on Facebook, the webinar ID for Zoom is 896-1279-5201. Councilmember Friels, can you please start us off in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag
of
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mayor Jordan,
Present.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Present.
Councilmember Edge,
Here.
Councilmember Friels,
here.
Councilmember Freeman.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. May I please have the city attorney report out on the closed session meeting?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'll report out on the closed session that was held as a special meeting earlier this evening. The council convened at 4:30 in accordance with the agenda to consider the matters listed on the agenda. Council considered each one of those matters, which in one case was a conference with legal counsel concerning initiation of litigation, conference with legal counsel concerning potential exposure to litigation in 2 cases, and a personnel evaluation for the city manager. Council discussed and received information on each one of those matters, and direction was given in each matter. However, there was no reportable action taken this evening in the closed session. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Ceremonial items, the swearing in of the new city attorney, Robert Rathie, by acting city attorney, I'm gonna start all over again. Leslie speaking, take 2. Swearing in of the new city attorney, Robert Rathie, by acting city clerk, Yvonne Spence.
Okay. Would you please raise your right hand? And I will go ahead and read the oath of office, and when I'm finished, I'll come to you for a response. Do you, Robert Waive, solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you are about to enter? And do you further swear that you do not advocate, nor are you a member of any party or organization, political or otherwise, that now advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or the state of California by force or violence or other unlawful means, that within the 5 years immediately preceding this taking this oath, you have not been a member of any party or organization, political or otherwise, that advocated the overthrow of the government of the United States or the state of California by force or violence or other unlawful means, and that during such time as you hold the office of the city attorney of San Juan Bautista, that you will not advocate nor become a member of any party or organization, political or otherwise, that advocates the overthrow of the government of the United States or the state of California by force, violence, or unlawful means.
I do so swear to each one of those counts and obligations in the oath. And I thank you very much for the honor of serving the city of San Juan Bautista as city attorney, and commit to do my very best to perform that important role. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much and welcome officially.
Thank you.
Public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the council on matters not on the agenda. The law does not permit council action or extend discussion of any item not on the agenda, except under special circumstances. If council action is requested, the council may place the matter on future agendas. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do. We have Cara.
Thank you very much. Cara, welcome. You have 3 minutes. As soon as you...
Yeah, I'm not able to, Don, you may have to do this. I can't seem to let her be able to speak.
Hi, Cara, welcome. You have 3
I just
minutes.
saw it. Okay. Thank you, members of the council. I have a question about the roundabout at the gateway entry to our city. And I'm wondering about the design of it. I did a number of months ago mention it in front of the Planning Commission. It was going to be put on the agenda, but it never was. And since it is a gateway entry, is it going to have some beautiful drought-resistant landscaping in the middle? Is it going to have a sign that says, "Welcome to our city of history"? You know, it's going to be an important feature right there where you enter. And anyway, that's my question. I hope that we can be involved in the design of it, or at least have an opportunity to see it. I hope it's not just going to be paved over. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have one more speaker, Jacqueline Morris Lopez.
Thank you very much. Jackie, welcome. Is she on yet? There she goes. Jackie, welcome. You have 3 minutes. Hi, Jackie, you have 3 minutes. Can you hear me? We cannot hear you. We seem to be having some technical difficulty.
Let me see if I can. Nope.
Oh, there goes. Jackie, can you hear us now?
Looks like she's not muted anymore.
No.
Oh, now she is. Okay. Okay, she should be coming over shortly. There she goes.
There she is. Hi, Jackie, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
She's not muted. Not sure why we can't hear her. Okay, looks.
Okay, Jackie, one last time, you are muted. Can you hear us? Can you unmute yourself? Well, if we can get her on somehow, we will try and get back to it. Okay, consent items. All matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion authorizing action indicated for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the city council, a staff member, or a citizen. Councilmember Edge, do you wish to pull any items on the consent agenda?
No,
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
None.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
Yes, 4C, the minutes of January 18th meeting, I was not in attendance.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Nothing to pull. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comment to pull an item on the agenda, on the consent agenda?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve A, B, D, E, F, G, and H?
So moved.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
second.
Was that Mary?
No, I think it was Scott.
Or
Scott,
Scott.
sorry, Scott, thank you.
No worries.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes,
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much. On 4C, adopt the minutes of January 18, 2022. Does anybody else have an issue with that?
no,
Questions, comments, concern? Anybody from the public?
I don't see any hands.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 18th?
motion to approve the January 18th minutes.
Thank you very much. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Here. Yes. I'm sorry.
thank you. Councilmember Edge,
Yes,
Councilmember Friels.
Abstaining.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm abstaining from that vote.
Okay, understand. Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
says 4-0-1, an abstention.
Thank you very much. Presentations, proclamations, informal items, and reports. A presentation of the Washington Street Overpass Community Impact Project mural by San Benito County Arts Council, Executive Director Jennifer Lane, and Caltrans District 5 Landscape Architect Corby Kilmore. Welcome.
Hi there. Thank you, Mayor Jordan, and nice to see you all, members of the council. Corby from Caltrans and I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation. Is it possible to share our screen here?
Oh, I'm shaking my head. Yes, absolutely. I have no control over that.
I think I'm just waiting for it to be enabled here.
Yep. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay,
There you go.
let me go slideshow. All right, there we go. Okay, yeah, so I'm Jennifer Lane. I'm Executive Director of the San Benito County Arts Council. We're a local arts agency based in Hollister, California, and we provide art programs and services to all of our communities in San Benito County. And it's nice to see you all, and I'll have Corby introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Corby Kilmer. I'm the Senior Landscape Architect with Caltrans in District 5, and I'm the State Highway Beautification Coordinator for the Clean California program.
Welcome.
Thank you. Just to familiarize you, if you haven't heard of it yet, the Clean California program is a program that was set by Governor Newsom with special funding strictly for beautifying disadvantaged communities. It has no other purpose. It is not for guardrail or potholes or bike lanes or anything. It is truly dedicated to beautification, and it's part of the effort that is being made statewide here in California to get trash cleaned up, to help unsheltered people find a better living situation, and to get our highways and byways looking more beautiful by adding landscaping and art and all sorts of beautification elements to the highway. So as part of that process, District 5, we looked at a lot of different criteria to select communities that would fit the disadvantaged or underserved community category. And San Juan Bautista was identified as one of those locations. And San Juan Bautista is a location, your town is near and dear to my heart. I've always found it really special and charming. And quite a while ago, somebody approached me. I'm also the transportation art coordinator, and had talked about wanting some murals at the Washington Street undercrossing. And so that was the location that we identified as having a great, Jennifer, can you advance the slide one? Thanks, there you go. So this structure is at Washington Street. As you can see, it's a bit worse for wear. It's been tagged, it's a little grimy, and it lacks any beauty or personality. So we've looked at this project and we identified that we would add murals to the walls, that in part of the undercrossing, there's a lot of erosion under one of the structures. So we'll do some slope paving to correct that erosion problem and then also beautify that passageway. We're going to do some upgrades to the fencing so it's more attractive, and add some landscaping at the 4 quadrants on either side of the project. And as part of that effort to solicit art for the walls, I was able to find Jennifer, and she's going to explain to you how we're going to find the artist that will provide that artwork.
Thank you, Corby. So I should preface this by saying that in tonight's presentation, we'll actually be talking, or I'll be talking about 2 projects. So there's 2 separate public art projects that we're really excited about in San Juan Bautista. And this first one that we're talking about here with Caltrans is the Clean California project at the Highway 156 Washington Street underpass. And then a separate one, which we'll talk about at the end, is a community impact project that my organization, the Arts Council, is spearheading, and through some funding we received from the California Arts Council. So I wanted to say that up front. And so we're already into this first project, the Caltrans project. Corby and I have been meeting weekly for the last 6 weeks or so. They're on a pretty tight time frame, and we as the Arts Council have quite a bit of experience with public art. So we're happy to serve in this capacity as sort of like a local public art coordinator. In the very beginning, Caltrans and my organization, identified that in this soliciting impact or input from the community is really essential to this project. So we did come up with a community public art survey that we distributed to many of you here on the council, and it was shared by the Aroma San Juan School District. This was a couple weeks back, and we received 71 responses, which we think is really phenomenal for the small community of San Juan Bautista. Lots of engagement. So what did we ask? We asked some general questions about the style of artwork that people most appreciate, kind of abstract, realistic, whimsical. We asked about residents' preferences for themes, if they want to see in this mural reflected local stories and histories, more the natural landscape, something like art for art's sake, which might just be the celebration of art and just something nice to look at. And then also the representation of communities and cultures. We asked about mediums. So there's the underpass, there's a lot of two-dimensional space, which, we can do a painted mural, but there's also opportunities to do tile mosaic. And then Corby will talk a little bit about the slope paving, where there's opportunities to do some potentially three-dimensional work to work that into the, cement slope paving there. And we asked about colors, and then the most interesting part was just an open comment section. So please tell us anything else you'd like us to know. And we got some really great responses there. So the community said that overall, you can see this 57% favor realistic types of artwork, realistic depictions over abstract or whimsical. It was, fairly high here to see the depiction of local stories and histories. The natural world and the environment came up next. And then I think the representation of communities and cultures was, in a close third place there. Definitely, people are leaning towards a painted mural, although you see some support here for a tile mosaic. And then lastly, with the colors fairly evenly split between warm colors and earth tones, we definitely got the sense that rather than something really bold and abstract, people are looking for something that reflects the history, the culture, the environment of San Juan Bautista, and will integrate well with the natural environment there. So we're going to use the input from this survey to draft a call for artists. And we're working closely with Caltrans on that with their specifications. This call for artists, the Arts Council, my organization, will be working on. We are using an online submission system called Cafe, so call for entry. And they have what's nice about this online system is not only can it accept the submissions, panelists can also go in and review and rank right in the system, but the organization that manages this online system has a great network of artists, public artists on the West Coast specifically. So because this is a Clean California project that was, launched by the governor and really prioritizes California-based artists, we are going to limit the call to artists based in California. And so we're working on that up next. We'll be working closely with Corby to establish the public art budget and make sure that it includes anything that the artists will need, including, any kind of lifts or scaffolding. Caltrans will be providing the, the protective barriers around the street so the artists can get in and install the work. So we'll be working on the budget. Let me move forward. We will also be working to select panelists for the review of public art. We want to reach out to artists, designers, local residents based in San Juan Bautista that are willing to sit on this review panel. We'll have a small stipend available to review the submissions, and then there will be criteria for selecting the winning design. Let me move forward here. So then we'll select the winning concept, and then this will kind of all happen this spring between April and May. And then really between May and June, the artists will be working closely with Caltrans to finalize the design, work with the general contractor for whatever their needs might be, and get that all approved by Caltrans. So ultimately, because this is state property with state fundings, Caltrans has the ultimate kind of, thumbs up or thumbs down on the project, and they'll be working closely with the artists to make sure that it fits all of their art transportation criteria. Okay, and I'll turn it back over to Corby.
So as Jennifer mentioned, we're going to solicit art, and once we have some concepts, we'll have the ability on the slope paving portion of the project to do some aesthetic treatments that will make that paving the most compatible with whatever artwork is selected. So we'll be able to color it. We have some options to texture it, whether it's just something as subtle as an exposed aggregate, or we could go with something more bold like a rock blanket, maybe even a combination of both. As Jennifer mentioned, there might be an opportunity to incorporate a sculptural element there. I've done projects on slope paving before where ceramic elements were embedded in the slope paving that added interest to it. So we'll coordinate those two things together. So in the end, it'll all feel like a harmonious installation. We don't want to end up with a patchwork of things. We want it to all work together. Similarly, on the next slide, Jennifer, we'll be looking at the fence. So right now it's your standard, extremely lovely Caltrans chain link fence. Not bad, but really nothing to recommend it. So we're looking at some options that maybe we make the fence a little more attractive, but still keep it rural and not detracting from the art, but just supporting that more polished, groomed look. And then on the next slide, and then we'll be looking at cleaning up the landscaping at the 4 quadrants. There are some native shrubs and trees in there, so we'll want to make sure those are thriving, and we'll add to it with some more native shrubs so that we get some color in the spring and some berries or other color in the fall. Just to, again, to highlight California native plants, drought tolerant plants, and bring some more color to the whole area. And then lastly, it's pretty critical to Caltrans that, again, I feel so lucky that I've been able to have a working relationship with Jennifer and everything she's done to help advance this program ahead. And again, we have a very, very tight time frame. So I want to make sure that whatever she needs in the way of a memorandum of understanding with the Arts Council, between the Arts Council and the city, so that she has your blessing as a representative to help move this process forward. And Jennifer, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll just say, you know, I understand that the city of San Juan Bautista, you know, has a history with public art. There's a lot of interest around public art, but as far as I know, not really an established protocol or procedure for approving public art. And this, San Juan Bautista is not alone in this. This is most smaller size cities don't necessarily have their own, you know, standing arts commission or public art committee. So this is perfectly kind of in line with other, you know, cities in California of the scale. And so we as the Arts Council are, again, very happy and honored to be working with Caltrans and happy to provide this service. Our contract for our services to do the call for artists will all happen directly with Caltrans, but we would really appreciate, you know, an MOU with the city of San Juan Bautista. It's just saying we acknowledge the Arts Council is working in this role. We support it, and it's signed by both organizations. And that way, we don't want to step on the feet of anyone, maybe within the city or, you know, in the community of San Juan that says, well, why wasn't I contacted to coordinate this project? So, you know, like Corby said, a blessing by the city. The MOU does not include any kind of, you know, exchange of funding. We're not asking the city for any funding. Just a memorandum of understanding. So that would be very helpful. I'd sent a draft to the city manager, and it would be great if that could get, you know, passed on one of your upcoming meetings. Let me
One
move
thing
forward.
I want to add to that, yeah, again, Clean California pays all the expenses associated with the coordination that Jennifer's Arts Council will provide. It covers all the art, all the planting, all the elements of the project. Clean California, though, does require a maintenance agreement with the city once it's done to take over maintenance of the elements that are installed. So ultimately, you would be responsible for the artwork and the landscaping. But we would take care of it for 3 years till it's established, and then it would become yours. Again, with the idea that that's one of the reasons we're using native plants and things like that, so that the maintenance is actually pretty minimal. And then the other thing you've seen on that structure is it does seem like you've gotten quite a few graffiti hits and things like that. And though no mural is, you know, sacrosanct, they tend to not get tagged. They tend to get respected. So in the long run, our hope is also that the artwork will lessen any burdens you have as far as maintenance from tagging and things like that.
Thank you, Corby. So I'll move on. I'm going to quickly present the other project that the Arts Council is working on, and then we'll have plenty of time for questions and comments at the end. So totally switching gears from the Caltrans project, the Arts Council is also working on a community impact project that was designed to bring together artists and frontline workers and community members to recognize the collective impact of COVID, but also celebrate the ways in which our communities have shown resilience, strength, and compassion. So this was a grant application that we put together last spring. We submitted it to the California Arts Council and now have funding to undertake this project. And it includes, we're doing 2 murals, one in San Juan Bautista and one in Hollister. We're working with the same artist, Venencia Prudencio, on both of those murals. And we did a series of 3 community design workshops to kind of collect these stories from the local community to inform the mural designs. So El Teatro Campesino was a partner on this project. They helped with the community design workshops and were fantastic. So I want to share the design that came out of the San Juan Bautista project. So this here is sort of a sketch from the workshop. This is kind of a more, second, evolved color design of the artist. Again, kind of reflecting these stories from locals about community strength and resilience. The image of a young Mexican or indigenous girl came to mind for the artist Venencia. She wanted to reflect, the horizon is kind of hope. There was a lot of discussion in the community workshops about the trauma that people were carrying around, which is signified here in the cloud and sort of the upper right corner. And then some local references with the California poppies, the marigolds that you see a lot in Dia de los Muertos, and the hummingbird. Sorry, I don't recall the significance here of the hummingbird. And then you see the San Juan, the mountains surrounding San Juan Bautista in the background. It's not an extremely detailed mural. Originally, we had been in conversation with Jim Gibson from Windmill Market about putting this mural on the blank white billboard that he has on the corner. So this design did come from that place of having something vibrant and colorful, but not too detailed, because the viewer is likely someone who's passing by very quickly in their car. Since then, we've followed up with Jim, and the artist Venencia has followed up with Jim Gibson, and he has a bit of a different concept for what he wants to do with the billboard. So it sounds like that billboard will become more of a private commission, although I know that he is interested to work with the same artist, Venencia. So where we're at now is we have this design. It was, community driven, and we're looking for a home for it. And I think this is somewhere where City Council can help us identify some spots. And our goal is to have this, painted by the end of June. So because of our grants timeline, we want to have all of our project activities wrapped up by June 30th. I know that I've had a few, side conversations about potential spots, but I really would love to hear from the council about potential spots in San Juan Bautista where we can install this mural and make adjustments for the space. So this was, of course, the scale was kind of set for that billboard, which is about 10 by 10. So it's a bit more square-like. If this needs to be adjusted for a more, linear, horizontal, rectangular space, like the side of a building, we can do that. And we're happy to work with private property owners to incorporate some elements that are important to them. So with that, I think that brings us to the end of our presentation. And if you're all right, I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other and take your questions.
Any questions?
Yes, thank you very much for the presentations. We appreciate you folks taking the time to present this. I think it's an amazing project, and I'm super excited to see this come to fruition. Questions from the council. Councilmember Edge.
So Jennifer, so what you're saying is this, that last mural or whatever it's going to be, we're trying to find a home for it somewhere here in San Juan Bautista. And you want us to come up with locations where it might be appropriate to put or to display.
Well, yes, as we were doing the community workshops, our hope was that it would go up at the Windmill Market, and the owner, he's been extremely supportive, but I think when he saw the final design, he had a little bit of a different image in mind. He is interested, and I don't want to speak for him. I know he's planning to bring his concept to City Council too, so I'm not speaking for him, just sharing what I know so far. I know that he is interested to do a mural on both sides of that billboard, so one facing outwards towards the highway and one inwards towards the parking lot. And he will, as far as I know, be working with the same artist, Venencia, who I have the utmost confidence in. She's really fabulous. She's from the community, young Latina. She's a fantastic artist. So, but that's going to be a different project. So really, it's going to be a year of amazing new public art for San Juan Bautista. There's a lot going on between, potentially this private commission at Windmill Market, our community impact project that we're looking for a home for, and then the Caltrans project. But yes, we would appreciate any leads, suggestions, names of people we can follow up with to, find a home for this mural.
So this mural, it's over. It's all been decided on. There is no more adjusting it or anything like that.
No, it's really in the design phase. So what I shared with you is kind of the design that came out of the community engagement workshops. But ultimately, if it's going to go on, the side of a private building, that building owner is going to have some input. We need to find the right fit for someone who will respect the process and say, I value what, what the community had to say about this design process and not want to change it completely. On the other hand, we recognize that if you're a building owner, you're going to want something on there that speaks to you as well. So there is some flexibility, but we also want to honor the process.
And so this mural that we just saw is supposed to reflect the pandemic that we just went through. Was that correct? Did I understand that correctly?
It was, so the pandemic was sort of the first impetus to say, this is why we want to do this project. People are hurting. They've been suffering from COVID. They've lost people. How can we bring people together and use art as a mechanism for healing and also celebrating the aspects that we really value in ourselves and in our community? So we didn't want to have a COVID mural that is really depressing. That's why it is a more hopeful image. And we're trying to reflect, hope and strength and resilience in the image. But the spark for this project was born out of this, frustration with COVID. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, both of you, for the presentation.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores?
No comments, but thank you, Jennifer, for all the great work that you do. You're awesome.
Thank you
Vice very Mayor much.
Flores.
Councilmember Friels?
Let's see. Well, I grew up 2 doors down from that overpass, and it's always looked terrible. So it's going to be nice to see it spruced up a little bit. I appreciate that. I noticed that you had some landscape plan and stuff like that. Eventually, I suppose the city will end up watering that. But do we have a source? Do we have a way to get that watered? That's one, because I've seen a lot of Caltrans landscaping projects. Pretty much just people go through a lot of work to put them in, and they all died because there was no water, which is a concern. Boy, too bad your artist couldn't, as far as the local artist, too bad she couldn't take on a big canvas like our water tower, something like that. Something like that would look really cool up there. But thank you so much. It's going to be nice to see that overpass spruced up. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Yes, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Corby. I really appreciate it. I think it'll be a great addition to our little town, and I look forward to seeing the process unfold and it all hopefully come together in the near future.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you very much. This is going to be incredible, having 3 different artists portrayed in San Juan. For the Caltrans artist, are we going local as well? I know we have an artistic community in Aromas. We have a big artist group in San Juan.
We can write the request for proposal to be as broad or as limited as we want. As Jennifer said, we definitely want to limit it to California because this
Absolutely.
is California tax money. We want to spend it here at home and give jobs to artists here. If you guys want to direct us to keep it regional, I think if you make it too tight, you run the risk of maybe missing out on a great pool of artists, but we could make it regional, countywide, statewide. You know, we have the flexibility to write up the request as we want to. So
Yeah,
if you have some thoughts on that, let Jennifer and I know.
And my recommendation on that would be to make all California-based artists eligible, but we could prioritize local and regionally based artists. So, you know, on the back end, on the ranking, there could be an extra point or some, you know, we can figure out how that'll be reflected in the ranking, but that would be my recommendation.
Just ensuring it's going to hit local as well as the whole entire state. And the panelists, what are you looking for input on the panelists?
So we're definitely looking for diverse representation from, you know, different communities based in San Juan Bautista. It's always helpful to have someone with, you know, kind of technical art knowledge. So, you know, really how the paints work, the installation, the different equipment and materials that are needed. We do know folks within our network. You know, I think someone we'll kind of come up with sort of a ideal list of panelists, and Corby and I will work on that, and probably reach out to we could reach out to council, we can reach out to the Economic Development Committee,
Citizens Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee. I was waiting for that. You know, to solicit, but you know, representation from the Indigenous community would be fantastic. You know, folks with public art expertise, historical knowledge, connection to the historical commission would be great.
Okay, so we need to start doing that fairly quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the RFP needs to go out first. Once that's rolling, we'll work on putting the panel together. So I would say if you're interested to serve on this panel, it's a fun process. It will involve reading and looking at work samples and ranking potentially somewhere between 50 and 80 applications, and then willing to set aside some time to come together for, you know, a live review panel where we'll discuss these applications and come up with a short list and then select a final. So it is an investment of time, but it's a fun process and it's really rewarding. And please reach out to me and we'll add you to our list of potential panelists.
Very cool, thank you. And how do you want to get input for locations for the Arts Council project?
Yeah, so I can share my email. I think just if you can email me directly, I think most of you have my email, but it's included at the bottom of the presentation, which I will share with Brian, and he can make sure that gets out to the council. Dawn Reynolds has my email, and I'm not sure the best way. I'm easy. I'm info@sanbenitoarts.org. So after 12 years, I'm still info. I don't have my own name yet, but yeah, info@sanbenitoarts.org.
Great, thank you very much. Do we have any public comment on this?
I don't see any hands. Oh, we do have a hand. Kara, let me allow her to talk.
Okay,
There
Kara,
you go.
welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Very quickly, just 2 comments. One on the second mural. There is a hummingbird represented there. And I just wanted to mention that that's part of the Mutsun creation story. And that's probably why that's there. And then on the Washington Street underpass, it sounds like it's going to be a great project. I just want you to know that some time ago, the county, I think it was through COG and probably also a grant, a whole bicycle route was developed for San Juan Bautista, and that would go under the Washington Street overpass or underpass, and then up and down Lang Street eventually. It's never been implemented, but it's on the books somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Yeah, we have Jacqueline Morris again. Hopefully she can unmute herself.
Okay, Jackie, welcome.
Let me see if I can.
Still can't hear you.
Okay, then we do have one more hand. Let's see, Hannah Marquez.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Hannah. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, this is actually Hannah's sister, Bella. I had to borrow her laptop.
Hey, Bella.
I'm a local San Juanian, and I just wanted to say this is my first meeting, and I really love this idea. I think it's so fun. Thank you. I think it'd be a gift for our community. I can't wait to see it. I had a recommendation for the one with the girl's profile. Just have her smile, because I love San Juan. I'm proud to be here, and I think that's a beautiful mural. Also love the hummingbird. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Bella. Jackie, can we try one more time for you? I don't know what's going on with your audio.
I think she's unmuted now. Jackie, would you like to speak? Still not hearing us. Okay, we do have another hand as well in the audience.
Okay.
Credo Studio. And if you could unmute.
Yep. Hi, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
Muting. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody. Jennifer, my question about the impact mural. I noticed that with the girl, like the sketch included her, like her shoulders and her body. And do you know why that was changed? I just thought it, I don't know, I thought it was a more complete image. You know, it just kind of looks like the head's floating there.
Yeah, I hadn't even caught that. So I actually would have loved the artist to be here herself to present that part. I'm sure, so I can't answer your question. I don't know exactly why, but I will say that the design's not totally finished. It's sort of in the next iteration. But I will definitely share that feedback of, you know, sort of completing that figure, and also as well from Hannah's comments from before. And I think it would be great to have the artist here once she finalizes, once we find a home and she finalizes the design, that we present it one more time to City Council, and just to get some final input before it's painted.
Okay, great. We'll have one more chance, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public comment?
I believe that's all. Yeah, that's all.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your comments, or attempt at. Sorry, Jackie. Okay. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Corby. We appreciate you coming, and so very much look forward to all of the projects going on. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you
very
for
much.
having us.
Have a good evening.
Thanks. Treasurer's report and monthly financial statements by our treasurer, Michelle Sabathia. Hi, Michelle, welcome.
Hi, happy Tuesday, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, council members, everyone. Welcome. So let's jump into a brief overview of the financials and where we stand. So for our general fund specifically, year-to-date, our net effect is currently still a positive balance of $331,000. The month-over-month change there was an increase of $51,000. If we take a deeper dive onto what that is, the increase was heavily driven by our vehicle licensing fees deposit, which is a yearly deposit that we get. On the expenditure side, some notable expenditures to call out for the month of January would be specifically standard consulting services. This is a consulting contract, right? So it's based on when we use them. It's one of our larger contracts, which relates to the wastewater master plan. And the next big payment that stood out would just be the City of Hollister payment, which is our fire contract. That's a quarterly one, so that's something that we expect. And then for CSG consultants, by this point now, it's a monthly recurring expense, and it should be flat. It's not. It has some backdated billing. It's things that we're working through to get that up to date so that it's reflecting accordingly within our financials. So that's kind of the general fund overview. For the water enterprise fund, year to date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of $206,000. The month-over-month change there is an increase of $21,000. The revenues are in line with budget, running at about 53%. On the expenditure side, I would say the expenses are trending within expectation. Although we did have one anomaly, which related to repairs and maintenance for work that was done on a valve. Nothing too major, but it is one anomaly that popped up. On the sewer enterprise fund, year to date, our net effect is currently a positive balance of $175,000. The month over month change there was a decrease of $35,000. So for the revenues, they are in line with budget and they're running at about 57%. The decrease that you're seeing specifically relates to a couple of bills that were for prior periods that came in late. So that's kind of what's driving the main decrease month over month. And I think that's all I have for now, unless there's questions.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from our city treasurer? Councilmember Edge.
I have no questions, just thank you very much, Michelle. Good job.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores.
No questions, but thank you, Michelle. You do a great job.
Councilmember Friels.
No questions. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Councilmember Freeman.
Once again, great job, Michelle. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments from the public?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. Thanks again, Michelle. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good night. City Manager's report. Take it away, City Manager. Please unmute yourself. Sorry.
There we go. Okay,
There we
I
go.
found it. It was hiding up top. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. I do have a few slides to share with you, and these will be posted on the website afterwards as my monthly report. And I'll touch base on the roundabout as I go through them. As you know, we've had some retirements in the past few weeks, and so just an update on staffing. We have City Clerk is later in the agenda today. We currently have no applications, but the Deputy City Clerk position opened up March 3rd and closes March 25th. We're having interviews for the office tech part-time that'll support the Deputy City Clerk's clerical duties next Wednesday. And tomorrow, and the full-time interviews are also tomorrow. So we'll be filling the office tech positions really soon. And then we have several candidates for a part-time maintenance worker, which are going to support our weekend needs. It was pointed out recently that during a 3-day weekend, we sure need help with our restrooms and keeping our downtown clean when it gets busy. So that's the status on our staffing for now. We're looking at several major contracts maturing after 3 years or longer. And we're looking at maybe expanding those to 5-year contracts and rebidding them. So these are just some of the things we're looking at. I did meet with our private security company today, and we talked at length about an RFP for private security. Their contract expires June 30th, and we did talk a lot about 4th of July and coordinating that. They're very supportive, and they understand our position. City engineer, CSG, we lost our city engineer, should be retired, and plus their contract expires June 30th. City attorney, we like Bob a lot, so I don't know that we'll be changing city attorneys, but we have an opportunity to rebid that. The wastewater operations contract is in need of revisiting, and so is the water operations contract, but these would be short-term contracts, 2 years each for these. And then we have to also go out and do some bidding for landscape maintenance services in our community facilities districts. So that's an update on some of the transitions we're going through. We've been monitoring the budget, and Wendy and I are working hard to bring it forward to you at the meeting in April as a draft, and then we would launch budget hearings on the draft April budget. The cost of living allowance is going to be really high this year, and it not only would impact salaries and personnel costs, but it's also going to impact contracts. And a good example is the private security contract with the price of gasoline being so high as it is now. We're looking at making some corrections, and that is going to take up some of the surplus operations money that I was talking about at our last conversation with the strategic plan. I will get you an updated strategic plan based on our conversation March 8th. And we are reaching out to Val Lopez and trying to connect with them as far as making sure the tribal concerns are addressed as part of our strategic plan, and also to make sure that they're involved with our active transportation plan, our cultural walking trail that we're planning around town. Thank you, Cara, for bringing up the bike trail. I have to find that plan so we don't do the same thing all over again. That'll be very helpful. And that rolls out this week on a technical level. So Cesar has agreed to be the city's liaison with Val Lopez, and we've drafted a letter for him inviting him to work with us. So that's in response to our strategic plan. The group, our risk insurance folks, were called Parma. They're now called CIRA. They were bought by a larger firm. And we had a big risk management review a couple of weeks ago where they toured the city with Public Works, and we're looking at our sidewalks and other hazards and recommending training and other safety tools. So they're very helpful. They want to help us prevent loss. And so it was a really good assessment. Public Works was involved, and I was involved, and so was our deputy city manager. Pardon me, our deputy city clerk. They have a small grant program, about $5,000 we've used to repair sidewalks before, and we expect a full report by the end of the month. So that was interesting, and that's an annual thing that we do. I've seen a couple presentations, and some of the council may have also recently from the Central Coast Community Energy Group. This is a group that Hollister and San Bautista rotate every 2 years, and I was represented on their operations board, and Councilmember Freeman still stays involved with this group, and he sat on their policy board. I invited them to speak before the city council to give an update of their programs. They could not attend today, so hopefully they'll have time to come and join us in April. They were encouraged by the city managers group. The city of Marina in particular felt like they were being left out of conversations and not included. They have a different way of sharing their leadership roles there in that part of the Monterey County, but just to be more visible. And so they have a number of programs we can use now to save energy. Assistance putting up electrical vehicle chargers is one thing. And so on that end, I met with PG&E today, because what we've realized has been pointed out to me is that the electric vehicle chargers may be available through grants and other incentives, but sometimes it costs to upgrade the PG&E service insurmountable. So I did meet with Gina Arnold from PG&E this morning, and she gave me a quick update. She's meeting with all the city managers and CEOs in the area. And I was really impressed to learn that this system they have for emergency shutoffs in high-risk fire zones. I remember I think it was during the Ghost Walk in October 2019 when Assemblymember Rivas reached out to then Mayor Flores and said, PG&E wants to put a comfort station in your town. We just turned out the power to Aromas. And it was really primitive back then. They blacked out large swaths of the county in the utmost attempts to keep things safe. And what Ms. Arnold explained to me today was something called an enhanced power line safety setting, which will trigger and shut off power if there's any sense of something interfering with the line. So it's a super sensitive sensor that they placed out in the high fire area in the canyons around our city to make the power line safety even better. So that was good, and I wanted to share that with the council. I was introduced to Stu, their new regional safety rep, which is critical in times of weather emergencies in particular. Of course, they have new rates before the PUC, so our utility payers will probably be seeing an increase in the PG&E rates between now and June 30th. And they are still, I asked this question because we recently submitted our development applications for our force main, and I'm wondering if it's going to take 6 to 12 months. And she said, yeah, probably 9 to 12 months. So they're still working on improving and streamlining development applications for new projects like the force main. We did hear from PG&E today, and we're coordinating with our engineering staff on the one that we submitted. County Office of Emergency Services, I shared a notice with the City Council and the Safety Committee, Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee. There were concerns that we didn't have an emergency plan and that people didn't know what it was. And that's because the County Office of Emergency Services has been working on a new one. And so they released the draft last week, and they're seeking public comment by the end of the month. So to that end, they have put out a flyer at 6 p.m. on March 23rd. They've invited the public to the county board chambers to meet and discuss the multi-hazard mitigation plan. And by multi-hazard and multi-jurisdictional, it means, and you can see here in the second paragraph, that Hollister and San Juan Bautista are involved. And then my feedback was sought and provided in response to this plan. And shared some of that informally with the council, but I wanted to share it with the whole community that we're part of this. And if anyone has any questions or concerns or wants to follow this link and look for this flyer, that's a good way to get involved in that. And after the plan is done, that's when we start practicing and training. So there'll be a lot more public engagement after the plan is adopted. Integrated waste management. Boy, what a great meeting the mayor and Councilmember Freeman and I had with Selena Stotler, our integrated waste management analyst. From that meeting came the coordination of an Earth Day celebration at Luck Park, April 23rd. I think that's really cool, and we're all excited to have a few tents and outreach and education set up at Luck Park to celebrate Earth Day. And we're coordinating that event now as we speak, and the integrated waste management will use their AB 939 funds to create flyers and promote it for us. To that end, they've hired a new contract service provider with a lot of experience promoting sustainability and resiliency and recycling, et cetera, programs in Santa Cruz County. Now be working for us here in San Benito County, again, using those recycling fees. I'm really impressed with how they're helping to get our businesses certified as being green businesses. Before the pandemic, we had maybe 5 businesses certified. We now have 11 with 8 applications pending. And so in response to a former council member's request on how are we doing with compliance with our single-use plastic ordinance, we did talk about that. And to be qualified as a green business certified, you have to be in compliance with our single-use plastics ordinance. And they actually are offering incentives, like $500 incentives. So when a small business gets their certification, they get a check for $500 from these fees that they're collecting, these recycling fees. So that's cool. And we heard recently, Selena came and spoke to us about the Edible Foods Recovery Program. AB 1383. So this consultant is going to help educate and coordinate all that technical work that goes around what does a restaurant or a food facility do with their leftovers at the end of the night? Can they be reused and eaten with the right agreement with the right nonprofit? So homeless shelters and et cetera. We also took a step further and coordinated and introduced Selena and integrated waste management to Michelle Huntoon. The schools themselves can be certified as green schools and the students get involved. So that's really a good step to take. Coordinating with special events is really important, and trying to get our local vendors, as the mayor recommended, getting our water store involved with our Mission 10, for example, just obvious ways that we could, maybe integrated waste management can help us coordinate. And then they brought up the idea of ecotourism, which is, I guess, something that's popular, especially for those living in the city. They love to come out here to the country and learn about the old ways of doing things. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, all the different things that are going on with integrated waste management. I'll let the council speak to this as well. Mayor Freeman is the chair of the Intergovernmental Committee. We did talk about homeless issues in the homeless subcommittee. The council supported that at their last council meeting. We talked about banning flavored tobacco and having an ordinance for that is countywide, so that each city would not have to adopt it. The county public health would adopt it and enforce it. And then we heard the same annual report from the fire chief, and we just approved in our consent calendar tonight the appointment of 2 members of the council to form a fire advisory committee, like we had some 10 or 15 years ago. Only this one will focus on the feasibility study from 2018, and will also be focused on looking at the district. And Councilmember Friel shared with me that a lot of that work's already been done too. So I hope they don't reinvent the wheel and stand on your shoulders, Councilmember Friel. Public health and homeless. At the IGR, we heard that they have sufficient homeless shelter beds, and we were encouraged by public health to enforce and encourage people in our community living in cars and whatnot to move into these shelter beds. There's a Boise, Idaho Supreme Court case that makes it illegal to move people camping in your community without homes into off the public property if there are no shelter beds. And so we were told there are shelter beds and that we should move forward. So on the 4th of March, code enforcement and I met with the sheriff captain, and he assigned a project to one of his sergeants, and hopefully we'll get our local issues cleaned up by the 30th of March. So we are taking affirmative steps, and we're doing the best we can given the tools we have and the limitations that we have. So I don't want to make excuses. I don't think we have any excuses now. We should be able to take care of this issue in the most humane way possible. So that's where we stand with those issues. I did not invite the sheriff to this meeting, and I promised the mayor I would. So we'll see if Captain Keelan or one of his new lieutenants can come and share firsthand the status of the department. I did share with the grand jury yesterday that it seems like the sheriff is making great progress. And of course, that starts with Captain Keelan. We have a list of interested deputies to serve as a dedicated officer. So we hope that choice is made sooner than later. We've been waiting patiently since December. They have a new IT person assigned just to the sheriff's department. And this is a struggle they've been having with the storefront, getting it up and running at the window. Also, we're working with the Public Safety Ad Hoc Committee on designing a new camera system. And a lot of that is focused around data storage and data networking and servers. So perhaps our IT person at the sheriff's department can step up and help us design that system so we can get to it faster. On code enforcement, again, speaking to having the right tools, when we receive a complaint, we look into our codes and we don't always have the perfect code for fixing it. And I think parking is a great example where I've listened to the code enforcement officer explain where if you're parked in a crosswalk, we don't have a law against that. So what he's been doing is taking a tape measure and finding that the wheels of the car are more than 15 inches from the curb, 18 inches from the curb, and he's been citing for that. So he's doing the best with the tools he has, but the city attorney can speak to the fact that we've been working vigorously to create at least 3 new parking laws to address parking in sidewalks, parking in crosswalks, and other ADA, parking in front of sidewalk ADA ramps. So those are just some of the parking laws that we're hoping to improve on at our next council meeting with the introduction. We have finally an updated admin citation process, and we're waiting for the new sites to be printed. So that'll be up in plenty of time for the 4th of July. This is working with our contractor data ticket so that we have a way and a process for collecting on our violations when they are paid. This is new and improved. It's taken a long time. We have a new, the city attorney is reviewing a nuisance properties ordinance, and we're issuing a warning today for a property that's long time been an issue on our radar. And we need to redress our nuisance property ordinance and bring it into the 20th century. It's about 20 years old. So city attorney is working on that to improve those tools. We have about 3 or 4 properties in town that we need help with. We are hiring a bird rescue. I use the term loosely because in one case we actually have a peacock, roosters, and chickens, and this is only one slide. We are hoping to hire them this week as they get their insurance and hold harmless in gear. We've had just increasing complaints and permission from the mission to go on their property to rescue, especially feral hens and chickens. I stopped by the Hollister Animal Control, never been there before, after I left the grand jury on Monday, and was having just a hard time talking to anyone about how do we get into a contract? How do we hire animal control for 20 hours a week? We have a 17-page ordinance, and we need help implementing it. Everything from dog licensing to animal abuse. It's a much larger responsibility than code enforcement at 30 hours a week can handle. So I hope I've got a contact now with them, and I'm trying to get a price for the city council to consider a new animal control contract for the new fiscal year. But it's right now, I'm hitting a wall, so I'm going to keep plugging away at that one. But basically, the goal with our code enforcement right now, my goal is to get the code enforcement and parking in alignment and get that up to shape where it should be. And then we have better tools in place, and we bid our private security, and we have private security help us with the enforcement. So these are some of the issues we're working on. The parking space markers come up downtown. Why did we paint the little white T's if we don't have a law that allows us to enforce? Trailer parking is another one that is complicated and needs clarification. And I've got the city attorney and code enforcement working together so we can straighten up all these different violations so that our parking enforcement is much more effective. Getting towards the end, Brian and I met with the San Benito Land Trust last week, 10 days ago, and it was a really good meeting around the topic of the city's sphere of influence. We shared some ideas of property owners that are interested in dedicating their land to the land trust and some of the things that make that hard to do. And as our SOI and its concept moves forward, Brian will be speaking to that a little bit later. We're going to keep the San Benito Land Trust as a partner, and we'll keep ourselves both informed. I also had a productive meeting with Uroma San Juan Bautista Unified School District. We are coordinating tobacco use policies as suggested by the Intergovernmental Committee. They have their own state-run program through the Office of Education that they administer. We have a joint use agreement that Michelle Huntun, the superintendent, will be sharing with us to share with the council. And we presented a plan for the joint use of the facility for the San Juan School to the facility subcommittee 2 weeks ago. And this is it, and I can try and walk you through this. The Alameda comes down through here, and the soccer field parking lot is here. So what we're proposing is 2 fences, and then one that goes around the new playground equipment and blocks the buildings off from the asphalt. And this asphalt is where your handball and basketball courts are located. And then a second fence that comes here in front of the gymnasium, and then wraps around and backs up and connects to the pickleball courts. We'll be walking the property with a fencing contractor to get a quote. We have budgeted $175,000 for this project. This final plan of 1,000 linear feet of fencing was done up with Dan, their maintenance superintendent. So we are on the same page as the school district, and we're moving this project forward. And we hope to start getting prices soon once we verify that our budget is sufficient. So that's some pretty exciting stuff. Special event parking came up with the superintendent, and they like to sell parking here during the rib cook-off in their soccer field and in front of pickleball and then in front of the school. So we were trying to coordinate the school district with the special event coordinators. I think this is one of my last slides. Thank you very much for approving the contract for the chamber upgrades tonight. That is a great step for me. I've been working hard on something I know very little about. Thank you, EJ Sabathia, for your support in that. We finally got the contract and we're moving forward. Could be about 6 to 8 weeks, depending on inventory for parts. But hopefully we'll be holding our budget town hall meetings in hybrid format. We'll get this together as quickly as we can. With that, I need to final up the specifications for the community hall acoustics project. And I think we can get that out to bid here in just a couple of weeks and maybe get the community hall fixed up before June 1st. That's a personal goal. Rudy Park, notices are being sent next week to neighbors about the on-site preparation beginning and the arrival of the new restroom, hopefully by the end of March or the first week in April. So I think I shared with the council before that project is moving forward, but pretty soon you're going to see boots on the ground out there on 2nd Street. And the park at Franklin Circle will be completing the pouring of concrete this week. We've decided to install a brand new curb so that the park will look brand new. With that, we'll be ready to start working on the decomposed granite and the bocce ball court and the plantings and irrigation. We've got a few requests that make a lot of sense in this particular park, and they're dedications. So we have a generous donation from one family, and the notion of a succulent garden that could be named after her. And they really like that idea of having a bench in front of the succulent garden that's on the corner of the park, and that be named after Glennie. And then there's a second concept of having a plaque in the park for all of the people who contributed to its development, maybe over the last 10 years, including Mary Morales and Jimmy and other people who have stuck with it and seen this park come through. So rather than naming the park or just calling it a memorial park of some kind, we would have these benches and plaques in the park to recognize different individuals. So I hope the council likes that idea, and I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Or if you want to see that in the form of a resolution, I can bring it forward for you. Park naming in general is a complicated process. We don't have a process in place yet. So that's pretty much it. Real quick review on development projects. The gas station did change ownership, but it's still moving forward. I talked with Caltrans, who's reviewing the plans right now, and they are moving forward. They're past 50% review. So we will get to work on the right of way and the reimbursement agreement for the gas station. As the new owner considers retaining the previous attorney of his uncle, so that we can maintain some consistency and not change attorneys, just owners. So that's the status of the gas station. The Meritage Roundabout is on schedule. Don Chapin and company worked a little bit on Saturday, all day Saturday, to make sure that they were going to be done by the end of March. And one speaker brought up the landscaping and the design of the roundabout. And in this situation, this is a condition placed on the private developer, and the private developer has approval of his landscape plans for the roundabout. So I think it is important. I think it's really important to make a gateway out of it and to make a beautiful presentation. It will have water and electricity, so we'll be able to make changes. But right now, we just want Meritage to finish the roundabout, and then we can talk about what the best gateway is, not just there, but in all 3 gateways to our city, so that they all look the same and they all have similar design and character to them. So that's a project that's going to take some work, and we just don't want to be in Meritage's way. They have ownership of this thing right now, and they have an approved design. And if we stop it, I'm afraid we're just going to get in trouble, if not sued. So I'm more anxious to get the roundabout done, however beautiful or ugly, and then we'll go in and make it ours as soon as Meritage gets out of here. That's the last thing they have to do. JJ Burgers is up for the city council on appeal in April. They did get approval to sell alcohol at their new location, but they wanted approval, they were seeking approval from the planning commission to sell alcohol and spirits along with their restaurant. So it's a restaurant that serves not just beer and wine, but a restaurant that serves margaritas like Doña Esther's. So they're going to appeal the 50% approval they got from the planning commission and come to council. That's their next step, and we should see them in April. The Orchards development, that's the development at the end of Lang Street. They're still in an incomplete status. We have not heard from them. I think you got an update. No, you didn't. The Loaiza subdivision parcel map, the engineers are working today and this week, going back and forth again, trying to get straight information from both engineers so we can finalize the actual parcel map. And then the city attorney has committed himself to revising a subdivision agreement that we've sent drafts back and forth on. And we have a meeting scheduled next Wednesday to move the Loaiza parcel map forward. And that's it. That's all that I have to report. So that's a lot, and I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, and concerns from the council. Councilmember Edge.
I don't know. I hate to make you go all the way to the beginning, but I don't know what page it was that I had a question and I got to look at my notes. So can you go back to the beginning, Don? I'm sorry.
Sure. No, that's not hard to do.
Oh, right here, right here. You're talking about major contracts, April bidding. What is that again?
City has a collection of large contracts, sheriff, fire, private security, water operator, wastewater operator, city attorney. These are all projects that are at or around $100,000 each. It's actually a larger total than our staffing salaries, which is very unusual for a city. And a lot of these are maturing at June 30th or have gone through some transition. The city attorney we haven't bid city attorney since 2006, and we should be bidding these every 3 to 5 years. So we're taking advantage, and we're trying to get things bid in time for our budgeting process so we can get the best numbers, the best value for the city when we go to consider our budget in May and June.
Okay, all right. So, and then we'll have opportunity to look at that, or will you?
Oh, of course, yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, then, so now we can go all the way to the end, I think. Wait. Shoot. Keep going. Keep going forward. I think it's probably at the end. Oh, okay, the school, the chain link fence. Is the school going to participate in the cost of that fencing, or is the city going to pay for all of that?
I hope that they participate. I hope that the schools have the same source that we are using, the American Rescue Plan funds. But once we get a joint use agreement, we'll be able to discuss cost sharing. That'll be part of the joint use agreement that we'll bring forward.
Okay, all right. And then now let's go to the end, because I think that has the roundabout on there.
Yeah.
Okay. So the roundabout, I think I said this last meeting, I'm not sure, but I see huge trucks, semis going through our new roundabout. And apparently I asked one of the people that, stopped the traffic while I was stopped, if they're allowing, while they're in construction, these large trucks to go through there, and they are. Is there any way that we can what can we do to prevent these large semis from going in there and driving through there?
So this came up during our strategic planning discussion, March 8th, and you had several recommendations that I need time to follow up on, Councilmember Edge. A lot of them involve county RMA and the sheriff's department. So I think the three of us should get together and look at that. Signage and so forth all occurs out in the unincorporated area, or maybe even on Caltrans right of way. So yes, I do remember you bringing this up.
Okay, I feel like a broken record, but anyway, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, you were aware of that. Okay, well, those are all only questions I have. Thank you very much. It was very lengthy, but very thorough. And thanks again, Don.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores?
No questions. Thank you, Don. A lot of information.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
Dawn, on the very beginning of the cost of living increase, we are anticipating a bump for our employees. Is that what I'm hearing?
You'll hear me propose it.
Okay.
And it's probably 7 to 7.5%. And then we'll see what the cost actually is.
I'm sorry, I lost you, Don.
Well, you're going to hear me propose it, and we'll see what the cost is, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, because I know that so, for some of us who are PERS employees, we're actually getting our second bump this year, which is pretty nice. And then on the, I like the way that you're planning the Franklin Street Park, the way you know, there are multiple people that shared in that design and the project, and I'm really happy to hear Mrs. Farney is still going to be in the loop on that, because she's just a wonderful lady and probably one of the longest residents there. So thank you for that. That was a good how we put it. It was a good negotiation on that part, huh?
Oh, good. Yeah. They were going to keep their money and go home. So I'm glad you think.
I don't blame them. And in the roundabout, I agree with you on let's just get it done and we can take ownership of it and spruce it up all we want. It looks like by looking at it, it is going to have opportunity to do landscaping in the center of it. It's not going to be just a big concrete mound. All you got to do is take a look at it. It's going to be a beautiful gateway. I know that we have some people that are very talented, can, you know, help us with designing that. My only request is get rid of that ugly Rancho Vista sign, because it looks like you're driving into the town of Rancho Vista. And I don't know who approved that. I know when I was on the planning commission, we never approved it, but it may have been pushed through prior to me. But yeah, if we can just, that would be great. And then that, if you did all this in 1 month, I'm impressed. But thank you for all the work. Appreciate
it. Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Thank you. Thanks, Don. That's a really big report and a lot to cover. So I really don't have too many more comments that other than what I'll address in the next item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A couple of questions. With all of our contracts that you listed, I should have written down page number, sorry. Do we have options to renew some, all, or none?
We might. I'll have to take a closer look at it, but
Okay.
But my intention is to make sure we're getting the best value. They wouldn't renew as is. For example, I want to change the scope of work for city engineer and private security. I want to include parking enforcement and administrative citations in private security. So we're going to be making some tweaks, and I got some really good ideas from our current provider today of ways to clean up the specifications. So.
Very good. Awesome. Looking forward to seeing those. Earth Day celebration in conjunction with integrated waste. And I'm not sure who would do that. Can we invite Sean Novak with San Benito County Water Association to hand out shower heads or information or whatever it is he does do? To have that presence might, you know, if anybody has a question on water softeners, I don't know.
Great idea. We can do that.
Thank you. Thanks, Mary, for asking about the fencing I was going to ask if that was being shared by both parties and to what extent that was going to be. And for special events, parking at the soccer field, that doesn't have anything to do with us, does it?
No. it
Really?
doesn't.
Okay.
But as far as our special event review goes, the school district has a little different role than some other interests.
Okay. Do we have them listed as a checkoff to make sure that they know that they're aware that we are having special events and what days they are, so that they can have folks out there if they choose to do that? If not, it's free for all, free parking.
In speaking with the superintendent, she listed the dates and gave us Dr. Cord's direct line, so we could make sure that we had all the dates in mind, so that for those specific events, it's mostly the bigger events that they're interested in, a handful of all the events that we do.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. I just was hoping that they were going to get that opportunity to make a little something on the side. Awesome. Thank you very much for that presentation. Lots going on. Looking forward to all of these parks finishing up. Do we have any public comment?
No, we don't.
Thank you very much. Moving right along. Reports from city council representatives to regional organizations and committees. Councilmember Edge.
I have my seniors council meeting tomorrow in COG on Thursday, but last week on, I think it was Wednesday, I was on a panel for recommendations. We had seniors council had over $900,000 to give out, and it was available to Santa Cruz County and San Benito County. Unfortunately, nobody applied for it from San Benito County. But anyway, it's funds from state and federal. And anyway, we reviewed the applicants, and then it's going to be going to the final review, I believe on Thursday, for the board of directors for the seniors council. So that's all I have for that. Oh, and also just to let everybody know, on the 26th, I'm having a community seniors center forum just to find out how many people we have in San Juan Bautista who are interested or in seeing us have a senior center. Also just kind of a brainstorming type of thing. And so if you know anybody, tell them to come and see us at 10 o'clock at the community center on the 26th.
Do you know that's Arts and Crafts weekend too, Mary?
Yeah, it's at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
It's not all day.
I had one question too. You said there was money available for Santa Cruz and San Benito County for what?
It's funding for it's for 4 years, and it is for the seniors in San Benito County and Santa Cruz counties. Meals on Wheels, services for seniors.
And San Benito County did not apply for any?
No.
That is so disheartening. Thank you very much for that. Vice Mayor Flores.
Well, I attended a homeless service provider committee meeting. They'll be having a retreat on April 8th. We discussed the grants updates, and there's 6 grants, and then program updates are 11 programs. So I won't go through all of them, but that's basically it. That's it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
Nothing to report, but a quick question. Mary, years ago, didn't we had some type of a senior program at the community center, didn't we? Like a new distribution?
Yeah.
Thursday.
And it's,
Go ahead, Mary.
yeah, I'm sorry, Cesar had kind of interrupted me. Anyway, what I was going to say, it was through Jóvenes de Antaño in Hollister. And I have had people approach me wanting to know, when are we going to have our own senior center here for senior services? And the pandemic took care of the meals that we used to get here. It used to be every Thursday at 11:30 at the community center. And so, that was, that went by the wayside because of the pandemic. And, it just, people started, actually, the woman that asked me to see if we couldn't get something started here was our neighbor, Scott. I don't know if you remember Sandra Knoll that lived on the corner of First and Church. And so she has, she's deceased now, but, that she planted that seed in my mind when we were going through the pandemic. And so anyway, it's just been, a handful of people that have asked, why can't we have our own senior center here? So, we'll just look and see what happens.
Okay, yeah, I remember something when I was a kid. We had something a long time. I mean, it seems like for years we had something, and I'm so sorry to hear that Mrs. Knoll passed. I thought that her family had taken her somewhere to, be able to take care of her. I didn't know she passed. So
Yeah.
that's too bad. That's oh shoot. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Yes, thank you. So I had a busy month. Attended an integrated waste management meeting on March 2nd. We met at the county building and we discussed mostly the budget for the commission. The budget will be coming to this council in April for approval. Most of the funding for the commission comes from the franchise fee paid by Recology to the 3 jurisdictions. And it's divided up in pro rata by population. It is my opinion that this money, and it's like $75,000 for the year, needs to be spent on our road repair line item budget. The heavy garbage trucks often cause our older streets to get torn up, and it also tears up the water lines underneath. Some of you may know that the corner of North and Second for the past 2 weeks has been kind of public works central, for lack of a better word. They've all been out there repairing the valve that's broken and couldn't be fixed, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they just paved over it about 3 hours ago, maybe 4. So it's finally finished. Anyway, but that's an example where we need to use this money to help keep our roads up to snuff. So, but we're gonna have to vote on that. All 3 jurisdictions have to vote on that. And that's a good portion of the budget. The other parts of the budget is dedicated to, as Don mentioned, AB 1383, which is an organics food waste diversion program. And that's gonna be rather complicated. We're gonna miss out on it for 2 years and be glad we are. It puts a lot of onus on supermarkets, larger restaurants, et cetera, schools, hospitals, things like that, where they have large food service operations. So that's going to be coming around the bend. Hopefully it'll work out. The whole object is to decrease CO2 emissions into the air. If the food waste goes to the landfill, like a lot of it is now, it does not decompose properly. It decomposes and lets off a lot of methane gas and a lot of CO2. If it goes to the composting facility that Recology owns at the top of the hill as you're going out of Gilroy, the composting process does not let out as much CO2, and the product is recycled and it comes back as a useful and sellable product. And Recology actually makes some money off of that. So that's basically what we talked about at the Integrated Waste Management Commission. At AMBAG, we went over the budget for the entire AMBAG. We received a report from the head of planning, Heather Adamson, that the Sustainable Communities and Transportation Planning that is going forward for the 2035 through 2045 plan. AMBAG was also awarded, and this is going to be important for Don and tying in with the San Benito Agricultural Land Trust. The AMBAG was awarded a $250,000 grant by the federal government to help create Monterey Bay Natural Working Lands Climate Mitigation and Resiliency Study. And this study will empower the Monterey Bay region to consider the carbon stored in natural and working lands as part of the long-term rangeland use planning, as well as provide for future opportunities for our cities and counties to include natural and working land, greenhouse gas mitigation and adaptation strategies as part of their climate action planning process. This will also tie in with our San Benito County Agricultural Land Trust and their effort to acquire large tracts of agricultural land to preserve our rural heritage. Lastly, we went to the Intergovernmental Committee. Don covered that very well. I would just add that the topics considered flavored tobacco and vaping. We didn't really decide anything permanent or enforceable, but we decided that the county should do it countywide, and the ordinance would just cover the 2 cities. I don't know if this county's done anything yet about it. Homelessness was discussed, as Don mentioned, and a lot of the meeting was on the fire department and fireworks and fire districts, and we've already taken the first step in appointing the mayor and Scott as to that working committee, and I think long term that needs to happen, and hopefully it'll work out good. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The only other thing that I have to add is for the safety committee. The last meeting we talked a lot about code enforcement, and that's where the parking and citations and other ordinances that our city attorney will be working on. So thank you all for your reports and the committees that you attend. A lot of work. Appreciate it all. Do we have any questions, comments, or from the public on this?
No, I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the council on any committees that haven't had questions that have not been asked already? No, we're all good. Okay. Thank you all again. Public hearings. Introduce an ordinance of the city of San Juan Bautista adding section 34-256 to the San Juan Bautista Municipal Code to allow for liens as a remedy when transient occupancy tax is not remitted by an operator. City manager.
Thank you. Oh, I might be, yeah, okay. I'm not muted. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. We have Bob Rathie here, our city attorney. He helped draft this with our retired city attorney when it came up in conversation with City of Hollister of how to improve our TOT ordinance when we have a situation of someone not paying. So I'll just summarize it here in this one slide. That we're simply adding a single section 3-4256 to our certificate of tax lien, which allows the city to place a lien and specifies the amount of the lien and tax and penalties and interest due in the name and address of the operator. So that way, if for some reason while this debt is outstanding, if the property transfers ownership, the city is still able to collect on the debt. So so with that, I don't know, Bob Rathie, if you want to add anything to this. Bob's still with us?
I think that does summarize the effect and the intent of the ordinance here. And of course, this is would be the case where the operator is the owner of the property, and we could lien the property for the debt of the operator. It would be another tool in the city's ability to enforce its transient occupancy tax.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge, questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Just a comment. I thought we always had something like this, and it's interesting to know that we didn't. But yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
No questions, but I think it's about time we implemented something like this.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
No questions. It definitely looks like a good tool that we need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Yes, I have one quick question. Will this ordinance also apply to Airbnb and other such short-term rentals that are not quote unquote a hotel?
Yes, it sure will.
Yes.
They're operators as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing this forward. Yeah, it's about time we started doing this. Thank you. I will now open it up for public comment. Do we have any public comment on this?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you very much. I'm going to close public comment right now. Actions by the council. We have an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista adding sections 3-4-256 to the San Juan Bautista Municipal Code to allow for liens as a remedy when transient occupancy tax is not remitted by an operator. May I have a motion?
I move that we accept that.
Is this an action item?
Yeah.
This would be the introduction of the ordinance. The ordinance would then come back to you on a second reading.
Second reading, okay. Thank you very much. So we'll look forward to seeing this as an action item in April
We generally put them on consent, right?
as a consent item, okay.
The action would be, this evening would be to introduce the ordinance and take a roll call vote.
Take a roll call vote on the introduction of.
The introduction, yes. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I please have a roll call vote on the introduction of the first reading of the new ordinance? Yvonne, you're muted. Thank you.
Okay, so we don't need a motion in a second, just the roll call vote?
Just the vote.
Okay. Mayor Jordan?
Wait, hold on. I think, don't we need a motion to, I'm a little confused by this.
Me too.
Pretty sure we do need a motion on that, don't we, in a second?
To introduce,
Yeah, a motion and a second would probably be appropriate.
Or the introduction of
The
said
introduction.
ordinance as a first reading.
Yes.
so
Thank you
moved.
very much.
Let's approve the
Thank
first reading.
thank you very much.
You're so moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion by Vice Mayor Flores, seconded by Councilmember Edge. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Mayor Jordan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Edge?
Yes.
Councilmember Friels?
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much. Public hearing item number 2, introduce an ordinance of the City of San Juan Bautista increasing the formal bid limit requiring the City Council approval and making other revisions to the Municipal Code, Chapter 2-8, Purchasing Procedures. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. In review of our purchasing processes, we had RGS, as John Coggins, come and support us on this. And he's the former purchasing director for Chula Vista, very skilled and knowledgeable. Helped us update and make sure that our purchasing procedures are in line with the state controller's office. Before my arrival, 2018, 2019, the city agreed, as many have, to be part of the public contract code. And it allows for a simplified and streamlined bidding process for public works projects in particular. But it did not address the limitations placed by some councils on the ability of a city manager to execute professional services agreements. So you still get 3 informal bids unless you have a sole source or unique circumstance. But what this amendment to our purchasing procedures does is it cleans it up and makes it sure that it's in line with the state's public contract code. And then it also increases the authority of the city manager's professional services award from $20,000 to $50,000. And I have John here today, and John, if you want to elaborate on that further, that'd be great, since you've been waiting so patiently for 2 hours.
Thank you, Don. I'm with Regional Government Services, and the sector I work for is finance. My area of expertise is in public procurement. We reviewed Chapter 2.8 of your municipal code, which is your purchasing procedures, and came back with some recommendations, primary of which is what Don was just addressing about increasing the formal bid limit from $20,000 to $50,000. Now, this is for contract services and materials purchases, so it would cover both of those as well. And it would eliminate the need to go out for a formal advertised bid for any purchase under $50,000. It would also eliminate the need to go to council for approval, which only meets 12 times a year, to get those orders approved and issued. So it's going to give you a lot of leverage. It'll give Don a lot of leverage and administrative staff the ability to take care of administrative routine type requests very efficiently. There's also some minor revisions that we're cleaning up in the ordinance itself to make it in compliance with the public contract code, the California Public Contract Code. And so you're going to see that in there, as well as allow the city to take advantage of public procurement consortiums. So these are bids that have already been put out by nonprofit, sometimes joint powers authority, public consortiums that the city can take advantage of. And because you guys are moving forward, this is a good way to help you achieve what it is that you're doing there at the city. I'm not sure. Let's see. What I could tell you is the San Joaquin Council of Governments just approved a similar ordinance, increasing the formal limit from $60,000 to $100,000 just last year. So it's fairly common, and there's also a trend in public purchasing now where agencies would have no limit as long as it's in the budget, as long as you have money in the budget for the intended purchase, and you follow whatever regulations you have in place. So this is again, it's just a tool to help your administrative staff and help Dawn move forward with daily operations within the city itself.
Thank you very much. Questions from the council? Councilmember Edge?
So, John, if I understand you correctly, our city manager will be able to perform purchases between the amounts of $20,000 to $50,000, not beyond $50,000.
Well, up to 50,000. He can make purchases from $1 up to $50,000. Anything exceeding 50 would require council approval.
Okay, all right.
Now, typically in the public sector, about 80% of your budget would be spent on orders or purchases that exceed $50,000. So you guys will still see the bulk, the majority of the purchases being made for the city.
Okay, all right. And then it seems to me that back when, prior to city manager Dawn, we had I think it was a $40,000 or $45,000 limit that we had put on for Michelle LaForge. I can't remember, but that'll be eliminated. That'll be cleaned up and it'll be gone. Am I remembering correctly? Do you remember, Mayor Jordan?
Yeah, I think we went up to $20,000 for Michelle, and there was a lot of push, not a lot, because there's only 5 of us, but there was pushback on that, and I thought that odd. But it was to go up to $20,000. I don't remember what it was initially.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think this is good. 20,000 to 50,000. I think that's good, and I'm fine with that. I was just trying to remember back further, and if you had to do any deletions or corrections or amendments to what we had already done a few years back.
Yeah, no, this is just an increase of
Okay.
of Michelle's 20 to Don's 50.
Okay, all right. Well,
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
No questions, but good move.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
Just the one question on the consortiums. So let's say if some consortium got together and they did bids for, I don't know, street sweeping or street paving or something like that, can we tag on to their bids? I mean, can we basically use their bids then?
Well, the answer to your question would be, it depends. Likely yes. A lot of things are bid out now, both supplies and services. And you guys would qualify to participate in whatever bids were awarded through these consortiums. And of course you get, there's huge economy of scale discounts that you'd be taking advantage of. And you wouldn't have to bid them out yourselves because it's already been done. It would have already been done. I'll give you an example. I just bought 3 fire trucks for the city of Sunnyvale, and I bought them through one of the consortiums. And so we didn't have to bid it out. We just negotiated with the supplier based on the contract that was in place. And it worked out really, really well. That's
where I was going, because we are going to be in the market for a new fire engine. And if County of San Diego had something that we would be able to use, we'd be able to, jump in on that. Good. Yeah, that's good to hear. Thank you.
John, if I could just add, now, in some cases for the consortiums, does the city need to take an affirmative action to join the consortium?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. They're open to any public, usually they're open to any public agency. And it could be special districts, it could be school districts, cities, counties, states.
Right.
Well, let me clarify though. You may have to join, you may have to register, but it's as simple as that. You just have to register to set up an account. And it wouldn't cost anything. It wouldn't cost you anything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Great question, Bob. Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Yes, thank you. I'll give a little history on our purchasing history, I guess. Before 2019, the city manager, whoever he or she was limited to $5,000 authority. And as anyone knows, in today's world, you can blow by $5,000 just ordering a couple of simple little things. It doesn't take much to go by that. So a gentleman, a citizen of San Juan Bautista named Steve Harris. He's a really good guy if you don't know him yet. He told me about this California Uniform Public Construction Act, and I talked to him quite a bit, multiple times, and we determined that most of our spending in the future will be public works oriented because of our water issues, and so this would cover it. So at that time, it was $60,000. The council voted yes, and the city manager got an increase in spending for public works only for $60,000. I have been told that through the action of the state, I believe legislature, that has been increased to $100,000. No,
200.
200.
Mhm.
Well, that's even better, I guess. Anyway, so now Don has the authority to purchase pipeline up to $200,000. You know, if he had to. Not that he wants to go out and purchase pipeline, but you know, so this is kind of increasing. This is kind of spreading it out to the other areas, which are also very much needed, like fire trucks that Scott's concerned about, and other issues for libraries or whatever. You know, just putting in a simple air conditioning system will cost quite a bit of money, $10,000 these days or more. And so I'm fully in favor of it. Continues the work I started in 2019, and I think it's worked out well for the city so far, although we haven't used it really. Anyway, I'm in favor. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Coggins, for the great presentation.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Just a quick question. Subpart E, authority to award bid, the authority to award informal contracts. Explain that, please. What's an informal contract?
Well, an informal contract would be any contract under $50,000. So you wouldn't have to advertise it. You wouldn't have to formally advertise it. You would just solicit bids informally. And that's what an informal contract would be. And as Councilmember Friedman was pointing out, that's not public works related. Public works is a separate animal. It's completely handled completely separately.
And I just add, the contract itself would contain all the usual protections and requirements for the city. It's just essentially an informal process, but the contract itself would be.
Exactly. And the contract that would be used would be approved. The terms and conditions in the agreement, in the contract, would be approved by your city attorney.
We use the template for that. We have a template, a standard template that we use for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any, I'd like to now open this up to public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I don't see anyone with their hand raised.
Thank you very much.
Ask one more question on the.
Sure.
So we've been, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, we're trying to get that F-550, the Ford, converted to a dump truck.
Right.
And for some reason, it's still parked over there without a dump bed on it. Now, can you just, if this is something that's under $50,000, can Don just go out and have, I don't know, Pacific Trucks put a dump bed on this thing, and we don't have to deal with finding bids and all that other stuff if it's under 50 grand?
Yes, he could.
Awesome. Okay, that's good. Then we should be seeing a dump bed on that truck here soon.
Thank you very much. I am now closing the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion to move this to the consent agenda to go before the city council on April 19th, 2022.
So moved.
Make the motion.
Thank you very much, Scott. Do I have a second? I need a verbal consent.
Second.
Thank
Sorry.
you very much. Scott and Mary, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Freels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. You also.
Action items. Consider appeal by Frank Leal of the payment of the 1% interest due on late transient occupancy taxes.
Mayor Jordan, since the meeting began, I received a text from Mr. Leal. I noticed that he was not in attendance at the meeting, and he did request earlier in the day to have the link and all the materials. He since recently wrote me and said he doesn't have access to the internet and is asking the council to consider continuing this to its next meeting. I'll leave that to the council. It was a bit of a surprise to me, but I'll let the council decide whether or not they want to continue this item or hear it tonight.
Questions from the council? Councilmember Edge.
In all the information that I received, I can't remember now where I read it, but it said something about the hacienda asking for a loan during COVID. Did they actually ask the city to give them a loan?
No, that's just my summary of characterizing how the end turned out. They basically borrowed money from the city without the city's permission.
Okay, all right. So, and then the other question I have is from the spreadsheet that I got here in front of me. It shows under the column balance forward, and down at the bottom it says 325,423.10. Do they owe all that amount? Does Hacienda?
Wendy's on the line with us and she can speak to it, but I did do up a share. See, if you look at this slide, Councilmember Edge, the original notice that we sent Hacienda included penalties and interest. So it included the late TOT, penalties and interest for 325,423. So that was the highest amount. And then after meeting with the operator of the Hacienda de Leal, and hearing that COVID created the hardship and coinciding the data and the short payments during the peak of COVID, I shared with the council that I was going to waive the penalties, but not the interest. And so we had a hearing with the operator of the Hacienda de Leal and offered him a settlement that included the tax that he owed, $147,613, plus about $16,560 in interest. Since then, he has paid the past due taxes. So certainly waiting for the operator to be present, he's not incurring any more interest because he's already paid off the principal in full. So this slide kind of helps you summarize that. I hope that helps.
So what does he owe in full? What does he owe the city?
$16,000, the interest due.
Can you put that slide back up? Sorry, Mary. Can you put that slide back up, please, Don? Thank you.
So he owes $16,560 in interest.
1% interest over the 20-month period, yes.
And is this everything that he owes? Is he paid in full once he pays this $16,560?
I believe he's paid in full. I know that he paid in full in January, so he paid 100% of that bill. It was about $5,900. And I was trying to verify that he made his March 5th payment for the month of February and couldn't locate that, but I have every reason to believe that he has. He's also paid in full with his water bill. He was delinquent on his water bill, about $23,000. He got some help from some other COVID money and owed us about $14,000. So he paid that amount in January as well. What he committed to us was the refinancing of the hotel so that he could use the proceeds from the refinance to pay off these debts. And he's been good to his word. since we met in January.
So he owes 16,560 total. That is it.
Should the council agree that he should be paying interest on the late tax payments, that would be the amount due. The 1% interest is 16,560.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And if I could, this is Wendy. Good evening.
Wendy.
So, hi there. I can confirm that they did pay their January and February TOT taxes. They pay the taxes after the month ends, so they can do the calculation. So we did receive a payment on March 8th. The remainder that we're showing here, and I think that we're trying to present, is that if we followed the calculations for penalties and interest as it is in the monthly agreements, it would have been 325,000. But as Don had mentioned, he had met with the owners and had agreed to a lesser amount, but that it did include the interest owed. They have paid the total amount due through December, but they didn't pay the interest. So that's the amount that's still outstanding.
So they didn't pay the interest in December.
For the entire period they were in arrears. So this is a cumulative amount of interest owed.
So is that paid or is it not paid?
It's not paid. They
And
gave
what
us
is, okay, so what is the amount that is due then?
presently $16,560.
Okay, well, I
There
thought
we-
you said it was huge amount.
Well, it was initially huge, but then there was Dawn and legal had worked with them and had discussed the penalties because they were quite extensive. But what was left was the interest. The interest was still owed, not the penalties. So they paid us the principal portion, but they did not pay the interest, which was not agreed on for them to not pay the interest.
Okay,
So we have waived the
And
penalties.
Correct.
say that again. What was that?
We waived the penalties.
And what were the penalties?
Well,
Percentage per month.
Penalties, late TOT penalties.
What did the penalties total?
Calculation made based on the balance due, so it's like 10% of the balance due, and then we were adding interest to the penalties. So that's why the penalties accrued to more than $100,000. And then why penalties and interest is more than twice as much as.
I'm sorry, Dawn, you're leaving. I can't hear you.
The point of the penalties is to create an almost 100% penalty for not paying. So 147 is almost half of what it is with penalties and interest. So you can see the penalties equal almost what he owed in TOT between the
Correct.
325 and the 147.
And I believe that, and Don can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think during the COVID pandemic, there has been some precedent set for waiving penalties in those cases due to the COVID pandemic.
Okay,
Not necessarily in this case, but in other cases.
all right, all right. Thank you.
And the council can overturn that decision as well.
Vice Mayor Flores.
Yes, I'm wondering, since they made all that effort to pay what they owed, if $16,000 not that big a amount, but should we enforce it, get paid for it, or?
Well, if I could just interject just one, the appellant there, Mr. Leal, does have a right to an appeal under the municipal code, and he does have a due process right here to be heard. So it would be very difficult, I think, for the council to take a decision this evening without him being present and have the opportunity to be heard one way or the other.
Right, so we're just asking some questions this evening and we'll decide whether to hold off until April where Mr. Leal can present his case or choose to go forward. Councilmember Friels. Excuse me.
Don, Don, how long has he known about this meeting tonight, the appeal?
Since we last met in February, so more than 30 days.
More than 30 days, and all of a sudden he can't find an internet connection. He's doing it again. So he's kicking this can down the road one more time because he can't appeal this because he's not here. Can we have a little chat with him and say if he doesn't show up to the next one, then the council is going to meet again and he may have to pay all of his fines? Because
Certainly.
the way I look at it is if I go to Hacienda Leal and I pay $50 a night for the place and they tack on another $12 that I pay for, that $12 is supposed to go right to the city. It's not supposed to be put in his pocket or in his bank account so he can fund some other program. This just, you know, the expression, there's something rotten in Denmark. Well, there's something rotten in San Juan right now. So once again, he's wasting my time because I've had to see an appeal from him when I was on the planning commission, when he stormed out of a planning commission meeting one time and used profanity as he did it. So it'd be nice if we can get this thing done and move on. I mean, everybody else is paying their bills. And you know, if it would have been the water bill thing, I get it. That's a tough one. And I'm glad we didn't ding people on their water bills this year, you know, the last few years for penalties. That's something that would have been nice if you'd have communicated with you all along. Hey, I'm dying on the vine here. Is there any way the city can help us instead of just blowing us off? So that's just my 2 cents on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
Yes, thank you. Kind of following up on what Scott said, you know, he's not always the best actor around. And he doesn't really cooperate with the other valuable merchants and food service restaurants and other bars. And he's not really part of the city. He has his special events. He caters to weddings. He doesn't take the wedding over to Harding's for those people to have their ceremonies. He takes them out to his places, which are out in Tres Pinos or someplace like that. So we, you know, the TOT is basically our only source of income from his hotel. I'm kind of I'm not agreeable to giving in a lot more. You know, I think he should pay the interest. We should give him time to pay the interest. If he wants to take a layaway plan or a timed interest plan of 3 or 4 months to pay it, you know, pay $5,000 a month, you know, I'm fine with that, or something like that, or even longer. You know, I'm not trying to kill him. I want his business to do well, but I just want him to be a good actor in town too. And I agree, you know, the other places in town, they paid their TOT tax. Why couldn't he? So we'll worry about it next month, I guess. But thank you.
Thank you, John. I'm with Scott. Again, we talked about this earlier, wasting everybody's time and money to not come before us when he has known all along that this was a scheduled meeting. I'm all for giving him his day in court. He can come before us in April and plead his case. And if he chooses not to show up, then we ask for the interest owed and the penalties. Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong, the penalty, is that 161,246? the difference between all of this, or is that the 300? And my calculation might be off because I see it's a oh no. So is the penalty 161 or is it the 325? 325 is the total.
No. So the penalties and interest is 161,250. If the principal, if you want to call it principal, is 147,613.
Okay, so the penalties and interest is,
The interest owed presently is 16,560.
Right.
And that may or may not cover the staff's time and consultant's time to calculate all this. But yeah, so
and the penalties would be the remainder of that.
yeah, I mean, if we threw up the actual calculation schedule, we'd probably explain it a little easier.
No, that's fine. It's over $150,000 in fine. In
That's
penalties.
correct, yes.
Okay. And I for one am not interested in a payment plan. Mary, you had one more question?
Yes, I'm not in favor of a payment plan. He should have been here tonight. He's had ample time to have made arrangements. He could have gone somewhere, a neighbor somewhere, a relative to be at the meeting tonight. And I would say that if he doesn't show up, I'm with Scott. No more waiting. He's going to owe penalties and the interest, and that's it. But he better show up.
And if I could just add, I hope there's nothing wrong with him. I hope he didn't have any health concern or problems, no family members, anything like that. I hope the best for him. I hope everything's fine. But if it was just because he didn't want to put any effort to find an internet connection, yeah, Mary and I are in the same boat there.
He's got a hotel with internet connection.
And forgive me, I didn't even think that he could be sick or something like that, or there was a death in the family or something like that.
Yeah,
I feel bad. Now I feel bad, Scott.
No.
But it just bothers me because, he does business. He has, his venues in Morgan Hill, Tres Pinos, here, but he really has no interest in our city. And I shouldn't feel that way, but it bothers me that he has never been there, really, never been there for us. And I understand, I get it. He had a terrible time. We all did during the pandemic, but you know what? It's time to pay. And
during the pandemic, when hotels were closed, he was not. Again, not a very good community member. Okay, so I'm sorry, public comment?
I don't see any people with their hands up.
Thank you very much. So the motion before the council then is to hold off and allow Mr. Leal to come before us and plead his case for the April meeting. I said that date before.
19th.
April 19th. Or to just go forward today with interest only. Cesar, you had a question?
I'd like to go ahead and move this appeal, deny the appeal. Because he had plenty of chance, and I mean, that is a lame excuse, couldn't get on the internet. That is, I mean, his whole damn hotel's got him. So
I would point out, though, that the Brown Act provisions that allow the council to hold remote meetings do contain the the direction, I'll guess, that the maximum allowance should be made for in the interest of transparency. And I think transparency in this case may be, the appellant's ability to be heard. I think we're in somewhat of a different area since we are conducting these meetings all by remote technology.
Well, I'm just
Okay.
worried that he's setting up his own schedule and putting us wherever he needs us, and that's not proper. I mean, if he knows he's gonna be, his subject is gonna be on the agenda, he should be here. You know? So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you for that.
That was a motion, correct?
Was that a motion?
Motion.
That was a motion, correct?
Moved, yeah.
Yeah, I made a motion.
Yes, okay.
And restate your motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the appeal of Frank Leal for the payment of 1% interest due on the late transit occupancy taxes.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Guess not.
Dice.
Okay, not hearing a second, that motion falls to the floor. Do I have a motion to hold off until April 19th to allow Mr. Leal an appeal of the payment of the 1% interest due on late transient occupancy taxes?
Can't we just table it? We don't need a motion to do that.
Continue the item until April 19th.
We need a motion to hold off on, because the motion from the vice mayor to deny the appeal fell to the floor. We now need a motion to hold off until the April 19th meeting.
To continue the matter to April.
Yes.
And if he doesn't show, he will owe the penalties also.
Okay, so the motion has been amended to hold off until April 19th meeting, an appeal, and if there is a no-show, to add back the penalties owed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Who made the motion?
Scott did.
Councilmember Edge made the motion. Councilmember Friel seconded it.
Okay. Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Sure. Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
It's 5-0.
Thank you very much. Don or Bob, if you will bring this back to Mr. Leal. And he either shows or doesn't show next month. And if there is a no-show, then the penalties will be assessed as well.
I would say the matter of the, if I could, the matter of the penalties, they would be before the council as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Action item 7B, approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista adopting an amended Memorandum of Understanding, MOUA1, with the City of Hollister to send its domestic wastewater to the Hollister treatment plant. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. It's hard to put this in writing, but so I tried to just make a few bullet points to simplify the matter. The city council knows that we have an MOU with the City of Hollister signed in September 2021 to send our wastewater, to build a project that sends our wastewater to the Hollister Regional Treatment Plant. The MOU, in order to assure Hollister that the water we sent them was as good as we could provide, assured Hollister that we would import surface water and dilute the salty water with surface water, and then treat our wastewater and send it to them first. And so the sequence was that we would be importing water sooner than later, and the wastewater project would follow. But the recent cost estimates caused the need for a water rate increase, which were initiated in February. And they won't be completed until June 30th, 2022. We have to go through the whole Proposition 218 process, and it takes a good 6 to 8 weeks to finish that process and then get the ordinance read twice and then adopted and not appealed. So it's a bit of a long process, as we know, because we went through this hard process last fall for wastewater. So we're working on bringing this forward. We've just nailed down the cost. We've found some savings and some grant opportunities to try and reduce the impact of the rate increase as much as possible. But the new schedule from the San Benito County Water District just came out 2 weeks ago and was shared with the EPA, who are requiring that we be in compliance with their order on consent. And it indicates a 1-year delay in the work. And so we have the okay of the EPA to export our wastewater first, because then we stop putting it in the creek sooner than later. And we've also been very successful in the last 2 weeks working with Hollister's technical team and engineering team to determine what, if any, impact the city's wastewater will have on the overall picture of the Hollister treatment plant. And understand that the Hollister treatment plant treats 15 times more wastewater per day than the city will be sending it. So literally, we're sending a drop in the bucket, 160,000 gallons per day, compared to the millions of gallons that they process. So the engineering staff came back and agreed that a 1-year delay was not going to cause their wastewater to be in much worse condition than it already is. They too have problems with fluoride, as we do, which when we get our surface water online, hopefully we'll be able to no longer be in trouble with chlorides and actually send them cleaner water. So we're happy that the Hollister team worked with us, paid attention to our needs, and agreed to the 1-year delay. So we're asking that the council reflect this change in sequence through the MOU, and that the city manager asked the city of Hollister to consider these changes at their earliest convenience.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge.
So we're going to water down our what we send them, right?
Yes, the compliance project includes both new source of drinking water and exporting our wastewater. But there'll be a dilution of about 65% surface water and 35% groundwater.
Okay. Is that going to cost us more? Will we be able to handle that?
Well, that's the point, and we have to find out. We have to find out and take it to the people and do another campaign as we did in the fall. So we're starting the studies, and as soon as we know the impact of that, we'll share that with the council and the community.
Okay. All right. That's the only question I have. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
No questions.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
Yeah, just one for Don, our commercial users, the big three out here. You're working on, it sounds like they're starting to come around, and they're going to be probably sending some cleaner water our way. Is that going to help?
They have been, and it has helped a great deal. The water testing that we did the last 3 months of 2021 indicated a great improvement. We're no longer in violation of our TDS, our total dissolved solids. And Coke Farms, for example, has already changed their processes twice to make sure that they were only getting their domestic waste. And we were out there 10 days ago on an inspection with a survey that we did, and they've showed us where their price had changed and they made these physical changes to their plant. Tomorrow morning at 9, I'm meeting with Carl Vijarki and our city engineer at the Taylor Farms, Earthbound Farms plant, and we're doing an inspection to compare their survey responses. It's about a 4-page survey the water board developed with us to their plant operations to make sure that the industrial water is segregated from the domestic wastewater. So, and then after that, at 11, we'll be going to Truly. So we will have inspected all 3 plants in the last 3 weeks, and much to the water board's support and surprise. So we are making great progress.
Great, that's great.
That concludes item 8B, the water updates.
Oh, great. Well, it sounds good. And it sounds like that massive well that, well, the Taylor Farms now owns, when it was originally drilled, I remember there was like a big hubbub about it, how it was such good water. It was this amazing water, and it sounds like that it's not quite as good as it used to be. So, and that's just, we're downstream in a valley, right? So from an agricultural valley, I get it. Good. Well, that's good. Thank you for working with those partners out there and helping us move along. I still am blown away that the EPA is on our court. So I'm super happy with that. So thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Councilmember Freeman.
Yes, thank you. This is the dangers of when you're doing things in the wrong order. If we had done the water from Hollister from West Hills first, we could probably pass without even shipping the water to Hollister. But we'll never really know that. So we got to do it the other way, the backwards way, and it's probably going to cost the city some more money. And when I mean the city, I mean the residents more money in their water bills, and that's a shame. But it's kind of what we have to do to get into compliance. So I like Scott, I'm really glad the EPA is on our side. I'm glad to hear that the 3 industrial users are really cleaning up their act with that and better water from Hollister. I think we could pass. But we've committed to the sewer system already, which is the most expensive way to go. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And we stop incurring fines from the Regional Water Quality Control Board doing it in this order. When does this go? When does this go before the Hollister Council, Don?
I'll follow up in the morning. I'm hoping this month, but they need a couple weeks lead time.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No, we don't.
Thank you very much. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the resolution of the City Council of the, oh, no, wrong one. Approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista adopting an amended memorandum of understanding A1 with the City of Hollister to send its domestic wastewater to the Hollister treatment plant.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution of the City Council of City of San Juan Bautista, sending it to wastewater plant in Hollister. The memorandum understanding a MOU A1.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Fields,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much. 7C, approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista extending the term of the parklets encroachment permit until March 30th, 2022.
That's me.
Hey, Brian.
Hello, everyone. So as we know, the parklet transformation of 3rd Street encroachment permit authorization for parklet expires at the end of March. And in keeping with the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee's role with respect to economic development and advising the City Council, they would like an opportunity to weigh in on what the disposition of parklets should be going forward and ahead of master planning for 3rd Street. And essentially, I think the concern there is that there are costs involved. There's an ongoing need, perceived ongoing need for parklets. There's some uncertainty about what's happening in the COVID world. And parklets continue to be considered temporary, regardless of the expense incurred in constructing them. So the thought is that the Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee would take the month of April, essentially, and starting tomorrow night, appoint a subcommittee or consider it as a committee of the whole to talk about these parklets and come up with a recommendation for action by the City Council in May. And so that would effectively extend the parklets, the transformation of 3rd Street and the encroachment permits currently issued until the end of the month in May 31st. So we have a 3-part recommendation. The first recommendation is that you direct the city manager to immediately suspend issuing of encroachment permits, given the time involved and the expense. We don't really know what the disposition of parklets might be in a couple of months. It really isn't advisable or fair to enable people to or encourage them to construct new parklets during this interim period. The second thing is that the EDCAC would like to provide a recommendation to the HRB and the Planning Commission, and thereafter the City Council regarding the ongoing status of parklets. And then the third recommendation would be to extend the term of the transformation of 3rd Street and the parklets until May 31st. That's the staff report.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council? Councilmember Edge?
Actually, I don't have any questions on this or comments.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
Yes, I'm confused. It says
Thank
until
you
March
very much.
30th.
I am as well.
Until March 30th, and then you say April something, so do we
Okay.
extend it to April or May or what?
Thank you.
Need some-
Councilmember Friels?
Nope, that cleared that.
Yes, okay, I see the confusion.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman?
No questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you. The resolution, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, my turn. The resolution states that asks the council to extend the permit until March 30th, 2022.
Yeah. Yeah, I realize the inconsistency there now that I look at the staff report. The resolution is the correct recommendation. The EDCAC would like to have the parklet extended to May 31st, 2022. That would enable a 2-month time period for them to do their evaluation and then for hearings and reports back to the City Council.
Thank you for that. Do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Vice Mayor Flores on the motion before the council then. Can you please state the motion?
The motion is to approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista extending the term of the parklets encroachment permit until March 20th, 22. But you said April.
No.
May.
May.
31st.
May. They changed it to May, what?
May
31st,
31st.
2022.
Okay, I will make that correction. Encroachment permits until May 31st, 2022.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
I can't.
Thank you. Okay, the motion before the council is to extend the encroachment parklet to May 31st, 2022, not as the resolution states March 30th. May I have a roll call vote, please?
You can, but I do see a hand up in the audience.
I'm sorry. Did I not do?
We did, but the hand wasn't raised at that time, but it's up now.
Okay.
Do you want to let her speak? It is
Okay.
Kara.
Hello. I thought I had my hand raised, but you know, the agenda, the public agenda says until March 30. Do you have legal authority to extend it to May 30?
We can amend a resolution.
Even though public notice says
sorry,
March
not-
30. Anyway, that's my comment.
Thank you very much.
The council
Sorry.
has authority.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Bob, go ahead. You were saying something?
I was just saying the council has the authority to make that change, in my
Thank
opinion.
you very much. Thank you. As amended, go ahead, Yvonne, sorry.
Okay,
Roll
no
call.
problem. Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask for clarification just for a minute? I'm really sorry about the confusion on the dates. The resolution has three parts. Directs city manager to suspend issuance of encroachment permits. And I'm assuming that the council's action includes all three parts.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, that's what was approved. 7D, appoint city clerk for the period ending December 2022. City manager.
Members of the city council, the deputy city clerk did post a solicitation as directed at the last council meeting, asking for applications. The notice was in your packet, item 7D, and they gave until Monday, March 14th. And no appointment, no applications were received by that date. Despite our pleading and begging of everyone we could meet up.
So what do we do now?
Oh, we can keep it open, extend the opening.
Until filled.
I don't know, I
Sorry,
think I think a deadline is better. We should create a deadline leading up to the April 19th meeting, I would think, so that we can report to you.
Do we want to extend it all the way out to April 19th or end it the
I think we should.
week before so you have something to report on?
Oh, if we get somebody.
Yeah, unless we get somebody.
I mean, since we haven't gotten anybody now, you know, we should try to
The next meeting?
ample time.
The Friday before the next meeting is the 15th of April, so we could say 1 PM on Friday, April 15th.
And you can still
good.
put it on the agenda by then?
Well, it'll be on the agenda one way or another, as it
Understood.
is tonight.
Okay,
as it is.
Yeah.
okay. Vice Mayor Flores, questions, comments, concerns?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman?
No questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, a motion to extend the notice until 1 o'clock on April 15th. Thank you very much. Do I,
It's someone from the public has a hand up.
I'm sorry. Public comment. Cara, welcome. You have 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, but when did we do away with our elected city clerk? I thought Shauna had been elected our city clerk. I do not recall any action being taken to get rid of a elected clerk.
You get rid of her, she quit.
Well, but I thought we were electing our city clerk.
Made a decision at the February council meeting, Cara, to
Pardon?
appoint, and this is Don speaking. We
Yeah.
made a decision at the February city council meeting not to hold another election, but to wait until the November election. In the meantime, try and appoint a city clerk between now and November.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to extend the posting until
Motion
April
to
15th at
extend
1
the
p.m.
posting up until April, was it 16 or 15? At 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
1 p.m. April
Yeah.
15th, 1 p.m. Do I have a second?
Yeah, you have a second.
Thank you very much. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Or Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much. 7E, approve mayor's selection of the city council representatives to regional organizations and committee. Because of the extension, Don, if I may on this one.
Help yourself.
Because of the continued extensions for nominating a mayor and a vice mayor for 2 months, all of the regional agencies asked if what we were doing. So we said status quo because they had to put names in positions. You have before you the list of committees. So any questions, comments, concerns? Councilmember Edge?
Sorry, no, I don't have any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman?
No comments or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels, may I have a roll call, please?
Okay, and just for the record, no one in the public has their hand raised.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
No problem. Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Friels
Yes.
and Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much. Discussions, COVID update.
I have nothing new to add except what I saw in the late night news last night, and I think most of the public is aware of that. If anyone has any
We lost
questions,
you.
We lost you. We can't hear.
I'm not muted this time. Okay. I have nothing new to add on a COVID-19 update tonight, members of the city council. If there's any questions or information you want me to look up, I can go look for it.
Thank you. Councilmember Edge.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
No questions. I got my
Councilmember-
answers.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have none either. Thank you, Don. Short and sweet, love it. Wastewater and water update. We're done.
Yes, so we started talking about this earlier. We're working on the permits for the force main. We have some potential delays. We're not able to meet with the federal representatives, Fish and Wildlife, until May. So we've been working closely with the EPA on schedules and so forth, as there may be a need to extend the force main goal because of the delays in the permits, but we're doing our best to work around this. And that's really the update on the design for the force main to Hollister. It is at 90% plans. And as I explained earlier, we're working closely with our industrial users to make sure that what we send them is the best we can do. The surface water is on hold, as explained, until we consider a rate increase. On the funding efforts, I'll give a quick update. The USDA is the one who pointed out and required us to amend our MOU. They're also, of course, one is now all of a sudden they have an interest in the water project. We're applying to them for help with our grants and loans related to the wastewater project. But so we're kind of surprised that they caught us off guard that they're watching the water project as well, but it makes sense because of the way the MOU referred to it. So they're doing their job, their due diligence, but we're working through that application. And we've spent quite a bit of time responding to numerous questions that they've had. We talked with the EPA and the Water Board about our Clean Water Act SRF loan application. We have put our environmental consulting team in touch with the state water quality board so that they understood that we had done our studies, and so we had to just reformat them and resubmit them. So we should be on target now and get on the list as soon as possible. As we want to be on the state's priority list for the Clean Water Act, so that we'll be eligible for the loan without any further qualifications. That's what we're heading for and striving for. And that's how we budgeted our wastewater rate study on these two programs in particular. We didn't budget for the award of $1 million from Congressman Panetta's hard work in our favor. When the omnibus bill was approved last week, we were on the list. And so I'm thrilled about that. That's really cool. That'll help pay for the design of our project. So that's great news. We do have a $6 million in budget requests to State Senator Caballero and Assemblymember Rivas. I did share with them our success at the federal level, that they're endorsing our project, and encourage them to support us as well. I know they will, but we're going to keep in touch with them and keep the pressure on. And we hired a lobbyist with a $5,000 retainer this week to make sure that we have a voice in Sacramento. And if necessary, I'm happy to join the council at budget hearings or any senator or assembly member's office.
Lost you.
I'm happy to join the council members in visiting Sacramento to make sure our budget request is heard. So that's the status of our funding attempts, and that's my job right now. I feel it's my focus is to be putting this funding plan together so that we can reduce the impact on the ratepayers. So if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. And a big shout out and thanks to Congressman Panetta for his hard work and $1 million. Councilmember Edge.
Thank you, Don, but I don't have any, no comments, no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Flores.
No comments other than way to go, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman.
I'll join the others in congratulating Jimmy's hard work in getting that money for us. It's much needed. And let's keep it up and get going and get some more grants, that is.
Absolutely. Do I hear a road trip to Sacramento in our future, Don?
Maybe so. Well, I'm going to do whatever it takes. This is the best year to have an ask in for the state. I've never seen a year as good as this one.
Nice. Awesome. Do we have public comment?
I'm sorry, there's no hands raised right now.
Thank you very much. Moving on, community development, community engagement strategies, verbal update. Brian, I'm guessing this is you because you popped in. Please unmute yourself.
So can I share my screen?
Yes, yes, you can share your screen.
Okay, great.
Council members, we have a lot of community engagement about to launch, not to mention our budget town hall meeting, et cetera. So I asked Brian to give us an overview of just specifically community engagement and our intentions here. So he put just a few slides together and then we can call it a night. So thank you for your patience. I just, before we get too further into March, I wanted to be sure that the council knew of our plans and schedules moving forward. Between now, actually starting on the 17th, when our technical consulting team comes for the active transportation plan, between March 17th and say September, there's going to be a lot of community outreach, just as I mentioned in my Mission Village Voice article. So this reiterates some of those same messages, but kind of helps council see it in an organized way so that it makes sense. Thank you, Brian, for putting these slides together.
Okay, all right. So this is just an overview of the public engagement program for two of the advanced planning programs that we're currently running here. And we just started these programs. And so the team itself is organizing itself, and just like to kind of run through what we're planning on with respect to community engagement. So for the active transportation community engagement program, we're starting off here this week, March 17th through 18th. There's an advisory group meeting at the library from 6 to 7:30. And then there will be a project team and staff tour starting at the elementary school. Then in April, there will be another project advisory group meeting. In June, again, there will be opportunities for the public to be involved and to provide input through facilitated charrettes and walks and tours. And our consultant team will be running those engagement opportunities. In July and August, there will be a third project advisory group meeting. And then that project advisory group will then assist the consultant team in putting together the draft project goals, recommended pedestrian and bicycle projects. And then in November 2022, we'll have the active transportation plan draft community meeting and present the full draft plan during the period November through January or February of 2023. So the idea here is to make sure that we front load this project with a pretty extensive community engagement program that we're starting this week, March, and continuing on through June, and then into July to inform the plan. And then toward the end of summer and early fall, prepare the draft plan. So I mentioned the Active Transportation Planning Advisory Group. This is a staff selected group. These are people there are two types of groups operating here. One is the Planning Advisory Group. The other is a group of stakeholders, which is very extensive. And too long to list here in the slide, but you can see here, these are people that we believe will be able to help us guide the active transportation plan and help the consultant team direct its community engagement activities. And so that's the principal purpose for the planning advisory group, is to assist the consultant team with understanding local perspectives and to make sure our community engagement program is on target. There may be some additional people that we add. You see here, County Public Health. We haven't been able to identify anyone yet. And we may add a couple more people, but these are essentially our core active transportation advisory people. And as I said, this group is meeting for the first time Thursday night at the library. Then moving on to the community plan. Again, the active transportation plan and the community plan are working together. The community plan is a general plan level planning document. It incorporates the city's sphere of influence, may include an urban growth boundary as we've discussed before. It will incorporate and intersect with the active transportation plan and a plan for the South San Juan area. So the community plan is a hybrid of planning programs aimed at creating a sphere of influence to present to the county and to LAFCO when we get to that point. And we did go through this program pretty extensively, so I won't get into much detail here, but that is the objective. The community plan is intended to enable evaluation of the two-tiered development and conservation-oriented areas recommended by the Urban Growth Boundary Committee. So it's a continuation of the work of that committee, and its principal purpose is to involve the community in deciding how our areas outside our current city limits should look. Here we have sort of our community plan schedule. You'll see it's very similar to the active transportation plan, except it's on a tighter time frame because of the state funding involved in this planning effort. So you can see here the public engagement plan is running supposed to run between February and May. We're a little bit behind. So we are kicking that off. Then the activities here are very similar to the active transportation plan. We'll do outreach to stakeholders and organizations. We'll have in-person charrettes. Maybe there will be one, and there might be two charrettes. These are opportunities for people to weigh in on things that matter most with respect to the character of the community and how our development and resource protection areas are configured. And then there will be a Planning Commission and City Council joint study session. These are things that we need to schedule. We don't have dates for them yet, unlike the active transportation plan, because this is a bigger effort, a broader scale effort. And we don't have a community plan advisory group for this effort. We don't know that we're going to need one, and we'll see what happens after the first charrette. So we will have a web page presence on our website. There will be a landing page. It will not be a blog, but it will have an opportunity for people to talk about and give their input on these plans. And our staff is putting this together in collaboration with the consultant team. And that's the presentation for the community engagement effort for these plans.
And it's interesting because just in a COG conversation, I think Councilmember Edge mentioned, they're talking about the similar study that they're studying the intersections on Monterey Street, Washington Overpass, 156. And it's the same grant that the city's using for its ATP grant, but they got theirs a year before. So our first meeting Thursday morning is with the COG, and our second meeting is with State Parks, just to make sure that all this planning that's going on, not just within the city, but around the city, is coordinated. So that in itself is a pretty good task to take on, and just wanted to be sure that the council and the members of the public understood all these moving parts, because it's kind of complicated.
Thank you very much. Brian, can you please provide these slides to the council?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns? Councilmember Edge.
I don't have any questions, or the only question I was going to ask is if I could have a copy of the slides. So thank you, Brian, for that presentation.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
No questions. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Councilmember Friels.
No questions. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
Once again, no questions. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much. I'll talk to Brian afterwards about that. Public comment.
There are no hands raised right now. Oh, I spoke to some. David. It'll be over in a second.
Thank you. David, welcome. You have 3 minutes for comments.
You need to unmute yourself. Yeah. Let's see.
Uh-oh, here we go.
I have to unmute him. Hold on a sec.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
There we go. Thank you, David.
Hi,
Welcome.
good evening. Good evening, everyone. Just, can you get a copy of those slides to the Planning Commission and Historical Resources Board too as well? Did you hear me?
Yes, we
absolutely.
did.
Thank you, David.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And those are all the hands raised.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Future agenda items. Councilmember Edge.
Yes, I have quite a few, so forgive me. Dawn, especially Dawn, because one of the things that I want to put on the agenda is the signs. Hopefully you have enough time to work on that, the signs for the trucks not entering into the city limits. And then I'd like to put on the agenda, if we have an ordinance on the noise level within the city limits, we need to put like 85 decibels or something like that. That's plenty loud. And then back over a year ago, we received some laptops that were donated to the city in the library by LULAC. I'd like to be able to do something like that, showcase them and have some sort of a thank you for LULAC. And then I'd like to have the sheriff's department give us some sort of an update. I think Dawn has been updating us, but I'd like to see them, one of them, come and give us an update. And I'd like us to consider having, I know it seems like a lot, but stop signs at all of our intersections. There are so many people that run the stop signs, and if they do stop, it's a Hollywood style stop that they make. And then also our handicap areas in downtown. Now that I'm doing something about it, now that my dad is gone and that my friend Sandy is gone, but you know, every time I used to drop them off, the curb is not low, so that it was real difficult to get the car, you know, close to the curb. And then they got their legs on their feet on the curb, and then their legs are weak and it's hard for them to get out. Whereas if it were flush with the road or the street, it wouldn't be so hard. So we need to look into making that a little bit more user-friendly for handicapped people. I think that's it.
Thank you very much. No, that's great. Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
I have none, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
I was wondering if we maybe can reach out to the clampers and, you know, talk to them what they might be planning in the near future. I know they want to work with the city, especially on some of the restoration projects. Maybe we can reach out to them that they have a representative. And maybe the VFW. Maybe we can talk to the VFW and they can, we can partner with them on some of their events too. And we know when their stuff is going on a little bit more, if we can reach out to them. Maybe they can give a little presentation of some sort, if Eric wants to, the commander wants to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Freeman.
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have nothing either. Thank you for your input for those that did. Comments, final comments, City Council. Councilmember Edge.
I don't have any comments.
Thank you very much.
A great meeting. And everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Flores.
Thank you for all your involvement, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Friels.
Yep, I was just looking at my calendar. VFW Flea Market, Saturday, 26th, the same day as the Arts and Crafts. And Eric informed me that all the spaces are full, so it should be a nice turnout.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Freeman.
Good to hear about the VFW. I really have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Thank you. The mandala is this coming weekend and lots of celebrations going on. Happy 40th to Donia's. We do have the Arts and Crafts Fair coming. Both of those are next weekend. And this is Women in History Month. So a shout out to all of the history making women in San Juan Bautista that own establishments downtown. It is amazing the history that San Juan continues. I don't even know. I asked for a list and don't have it in front of me. I apologize, but I'm guessing over 80% for sure of our businesses downtown are owned by women. Huge, that's huge. And we appreciate each and every one of them. Thank you all for the meeting. Bob, welcome officially. And Yvonne, so very thrilled that you're still here.
Problem.
City Manager, final comments.
Just a few quick things. If it's okay with the council, we can reverse the order of this. Scott, I have to admit, with the transition of our deputy city clerk, this agenda came together so quickly that I didn't remember to move comments up to the top. But I think I have the council's consent to do that, Scott. So we'll do that in the future. And I apologize for missing that this time. May is Pride Month, and so we probably need to take action in April related to the Pride Month. And with that, we'll look forward to meeting our community and getting out in the public in the next month. It's really my favorite part of local government is working with the community. So please join us and we'll have fun the next couple months. So, all right, thank you. Thank you for your support.
Awesome, thank you very much. Final comments from our city attorney.
Very quickly, I'll say, I hope they're not my final comments. I probably have quite a few more, but I want to thank the council for the confidence that you placed in me. Following the capable Deborah Mall as city attorney is certainly a challenge, but you have my commitment to do the very best job I can for this council and the city of San Juan Bautista. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Jordan, I think our city clerk would like to say something.
Yeah, there is a hand raised. Cara.
Oh.
Okay. I just want to mention that May is also Historic Preservation Month, and the Historical Society will be making some recommendations to the council to recognize both a residential house as well as a commercial for, a special proclamation, because they did a nice job. Excuse me, losing my voice. Thank you. Sorry to hold you up.
Thank you very much. Where were
So
we?
I think Scott made a motion to adjourn, and I would.
Yeah, I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Thank you
And
very
I'll
much.
second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Sure. Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Friels,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman.
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you very much. Have a
Thank you,
great
everybody.
evening, all.
Everybody have a good evening.